Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter's talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin' is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunter's talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. My brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is live. We are in the building tonight, ready to have an outstanding show like we do every single Monday night. We usually tease it. We're not going to tease it. We're going to get right to the show, the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. It's called Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J, and we're live right now, y'all.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live. We are in the building. Check us out tonight at 804-402-2893. Be a part of the flagship show, heard live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you for rocking with us tonight. We appreciate it. Giving the very first salutations to my very first friend in life, Been brothers with this man since I was 3 and he was 2. Shout out to Jersey City's own my brother K Dub. I know you was traveling, you was up top, and hopefully you have traveling mercies upon you, my brother. Thank you for rocking with us, and shout out to the Wiz. Ain't no Hastable Marcus J is live. Our phone number is 804-402-2893. And we're thanking the folks that are checking us out on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, the ones that are checking us out on our replays. You might be listening to us in the future. However it is that you are checking with us and rocking with us, we shall roll with you. So this is the time where we go and get our salutations in, and we check in with the usual suspects. You see the brother sitting across the table from me. He is deeply entrenched in production, making sure that the folks rock with us, and they have the information on where they can rock with us. And I'm happy about that. And I look across the table and I see my brother John. John, how are you, my friend? You good?
Yeah, I'm much better than everybody else. So
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah. That makes me feel good every time I see you, and you remind us of how gravy things are for you. Give us a word, bro. What you got? Start off like this. We are gathered here today.
One of my favorite words. You say, give us a word. This is my favorite word. My favorite word in the English language. Capable.
Capable. Use it in a sentence.
Forget what somebody will and won't do. Find out what they're capable of,
Then
you'll know.
My brother. I like that.
All right.
I like that
because I adopted that word in following Italian mafia lore, and when someone would be brought in as a soldier, the question is he capable? Right? To indiscriminately follow instructions, is he capable? Right? So I realized in that this one I'll offer to people who are in abusive relationships of any kind and make a decision that they're going to give the person who is the abuser a second chance. You're wasting your time. They have shown you what they're capable of. Forget about what they will and won't do. You know what they're capable of doing. You know, I know myself. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can't do. It's just not in me. Right?
What you won't do sometimes.
Right. But I won't do it because it ain't in me.
It's not in you. Yeah.
I can't even make that choice. I can't be bribed into it. I can't be coerced. I can't be mentally tortured. It's not going to happen. It's just not in my ability. That's like saying, listen, we've kidnapped your entire family and we're going to kill everyone if you don't run a 3-minute mile. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Get to killing.
Right? Listen, they know I love them.
I sure loved you, Marcus J.
Right.
But your ass finna go.
Right. Everybody knows I love them. So there ain't no reason for me to even pretend or try or make an effort. I know what I'm capable of.
I can dig it.
So that's my word for us there today. Capable.
I can dig it. Capable. Ain't no half step with Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. Keeping the salutations going. Around to my right side, it is time for me to introduce our co-host of the show. She is my right hand, who sits on my right side. My sister and yours, Steph B. Yay. What up, Steph B? Yay.
Always forward.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey.
I like your shirt.
Hey, girl. Hey.
I like your shirt.
You know I love Hello Kitty.
I like your shirt.
Yeah.
It's like cute and girly and feminine.
That's why I love Hello Kitty.
All that
It's
stuff,
so
man.
girly.
And whatnot.
I've been struggling, since I locked my hair. I've been struggling because
Yeah.
it's harder in the growing stage to rock my bow. So until I figure it out, my bow is everything. I don't care about anything else. If I can figure out a bow and a short fro, I do it. But the bow needs a little volume.
I dig the. I'm gonna tell you. Always, we talk about it. I dig the bow though, man. I'm all for like a trademark.
Yeah,
You know what I
it
mean?
is
Like
part of
when
my
you
brand.
see me, you know how I move.
That be in the bow.
You know what I'm saying? This is how I move, and I dig it. Like with me, it's the glasses.
Yes.
Somebody asked me over
If
the
I see you
weekend.
without a cap, sometimes I'm like, oh.
Well, that's just for the show. It is a superstition thing. It really is, because you very seldom. Because I got a crown on top of this, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got a nice
I'm
little
I'm
bit
well
of hair.
coiffed. I'm well coiffed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm well coiffed. At least these days. So I very, very seldom. John's not well coiffed.
I have glow on top of this.
Yeah.
And this is weird, right?
Uh-oh, here you go. He about to get weird.
I'm nervous.
It's gonna sound a bit arrogant, but trust me, it's not.
Okay, we trust you.
People that know me, and whenever anyone saw me, for the most part, I was in the company of a very gorgeous woman.
Hey, man.
That's what you're known for?
That's what you're known for?
If you see John
got a bad chick.
Area code.
So,
Area code.
yeah, you go.
I got
212 or 213. New York and LA.
Look, now he don't
Hold on.
He's walking it back.
Wait.
tonight, so
Wait.
you
My
might as
mic.
well be
Hold on.
careful.
Let me fix it. My mic wasn't even on.
My
So let
mic
me
sounds
fix it.
nice.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Oh,
People, y'all
damn.
didn't
We
hear
missed
it.
that?
The mic was-
Oh,
I said was
I had holes in different
I've been known. Something being
212
so
or
when people know
213.
you for something or accustomed to seeing you, people who know me for a lot of my life, people were known to see me, and when they saw me, I was always in the company of a very gorgeous woman. And you guys ran off on the other, and it's not that. And as a matter of fact, more times than not, I would say at least 80% of the time, that woman was not
just
my
a friend.
Romantic counterpart. She was just a woman. Like, it's just a thing with me.
Just a woman.
There's nothing. Well, isn't that enough?
I know. I'm just thinking of the song.
Yeah. Well, listen.
Yeah.
It's something. It's
Just a
something
woman,
about.
Just a woman.
Yeah.
To me. Some like folky song.
Isn't that always a woman to me?
Something like
It's
that.
always.
Lenny
Well,
Kravitz
I
has a
will
song
say
called
there are worse things to be known for than a bow, glasses, and beautiful women.
No.
Lenny
There you
Kravitz
go.
has a song called "Just Be a Woman."
You prove what I'm saying.
Well, thank you, son. I'll take back.
So I don't
know.
It's
Tell
just
my
like,
dating life.
Listen,
Dude,
it's hard.
I am the first person
it's
to
hard.
tell you, pretty ain't everything.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm
Don't
gonna tell you what it
always
is
work
though.
out.
It's much harder for you as an attractive woman.
Well,
It's much harder
do
than
tell,
you.
sir. No,
I'm curious to see where this is going.
Most men, about 70, at least 70% of men do not know how to approach an attractive woman. They feel like they're not gonna do well, so they don't try at all.
There's some intimidation.
There's a lot of
going on.
not trying going on.
Then on top of that, there's so much low hanging fruit.
You know what? I can't even fight with you on that.
I was
because a friend's. I told you a friend's husband said, "I
Yeah.
make it hard out here
Yeah.
for a pimp," and the truth is, yeah, I'm probably not the easiest, apple to get a bite of. I didn't want to say nut to crack.
Boy, let me tell you something, boy. It's a good thing that I got a cap on this.
But look, let me
that
tell-
was good,
but let me
boy.
tell you
It's
what.
double entendres all in there, boy.
Yeah,
Man.
Let me
exactly. You get it.
I absolutely get it.
I'm gonna tell you guys something. I'm gonna tell you guys something though.
Oh, it's gonna
And I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way.
Somebody's
It's
gonna
gonna
take it the
happen.
wrong way.
But guess what?
Let me sip my drink.
A good friend of mine, a very, very good friend of mine who I lost some years ago, my brother, Mark. He he's one of the most incredible human beings I ever known, right? He happened to have an alternative lifestyle. We'll leave it at that. And we used to go out.
That's what I
We used to go out and party.
Cow watch.
We used to go out. We used to go out and party
I'm
and
sorry.
dance.
I'm sorry.
And just have a good
Everything else isn't working.
and
So
have
why not?
and have a good time, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm such a perv.
Not usually.
he told one time I saw he was dancing and he would dance with different girls because he was a dancer. He would dance with all these women. and all these beautiful women and go. And one time I asked him, I'm like, why you never dance with the, the so-so girls or whatever? He was like, life's too short to dance with ugly women.
I can dig it.
The same energy that you put forth to go dance with a woman, she might as well be drop dead gorgeous.
I could dig all that, but you know what, man?
Now listen, that is a matter of preference.
It is.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
It is.
So with that said, it's not for anyone to take any kind of way. In his eye,
pretty is subjective.
Exactly.
Handsome is subjective.
Right. So with that said, though, this going back to trying to get to some of those 70% who don't even try, brothers.
Let's make an effort.
You might as well. Because guess what? No is no.
Shoot your shot.
No is no.
Shoot your shot.
And just like,
but you know what though?
Just like that other girl told you no.
I say
this girl might tell you no.
I will
too,
say like
but
this.
She might say yes.
I'm gonna say it like this, and then I'm gonna move us on. There are some who get off on saying no. There are some who like the attention and they like to curve and swerve. And there are those who enjoy the attention, they enjoy watching you chase, and will make sure that you never succeed in your chase. You know what I'm saying? So there's a flip side to every story.
But that's also not. It is not specific to a look.
No, absolutely
it's across
not.
the board. So again,
absolutely not.
Brothers.
I honestly,
you might as well shoot for the moon. Because even if you miss, you among the stars.
I'm not blind. I'm not blind. But I've never been driven by that. Like for me, all I need for you to be is pretty in the face to me. Like I don't care what nobody else thinks. I just need you to be pretty in the face to me. Everything else I can work with. And if you look like Olden Polynice or Tyrone Hill or Shabba Ranks to everybody else, I couldn't care less. As long as you are pretty in the face to me, then we good. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J.
Get a woman that everybody got to check the box.
I mean, I've had those. I got one.
You gotta look. You gotta look good enough for me to want to knock somebody out about.
I'm
not a violent person.
I don't care.
But I gotta have the feeling to know that if somebody comes up in the street and says something wrong, then I'm gonna lay him out because of you. You gotta look that good. If you don't look good enough for me to punch somebody in the face,
I'm not moved by that. I'm not moved by that because at the end of the day, there's not a woman on the planet that I need to boost my ego.
I'm not an ego.
Yeah, that's an ego. That's an absolute.
I don't think
absolutely,
it's an ego.
That's an ego. Are you kidding me? I was about to move us on, but now, how the hell is that not an ego?
It's not an ego thing. It's a personal preference. It's what I like, and it varies, and it doesn't have to be.
But she has to be drop dead beautiful, so that you
to you, so that other guys can see it and want to fight. No. That's not what I mean. I don't want them to want to fight me for her. What I'm saying is I gotta feel such a way inside of me that breaking some dude's jaw is meaningless to me.
Oh yeah, I mean
that's what I'm saying.
That's
motivation,
an aesthetic.
Yeah. But I mean to make me go. You see what I'm saying? Now, okay.
Let me pull it.
I can meet somebody, right? Wait. I can meet somebody and
hold on, John.
I can meet somebody and not have that feeling, and then get to know them, and it develops naturally. Okay. I'm talking about on first glance. For me to go shoot that shot, it has to hit that spark for me to go in.
And that's fair.
That's what I'm saying.
But for you and to the rest of us, she could look like somebody that. I don't want to call anybody out. I almost did, and that would be unfair. She could be unattractive to everybody else as long as she look good to you.
Oh yeah,
that's what I
100%.
said. That's what I said. 100%. So you agree?
You agree with me?
So you agree with me?
I just have a benchmark.
So you agree with me?
Yes, I agree with you.
Oh, okay, cool. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus.
Because it's all subjective.
My benchmark.
It's all subjective.
I'm doing this alone.
Yeah. Here we go, man. I think. Since we spent 10 minutes on that, I think that we are in for some shit tonight.
I think so.
Yeah, I think
you started it before we went live, though, so you gotta own.
I think,
but honestly, you got a good show.
I think, honestly, to be honest with you, we gonna be in control tonight. That's just how we do it. But I think all three of us, as we were sitting here doing the pre-show, we all came with some shit with us tonight.
Yeah, we really
a variety of things, which some we will share and most we won't.
post-birthday shit.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, and I got, you know, some life shit with me too. But anyway, let's move on.
Y'all know what it is with me. I'm about to be out the country.
Let me say it.
Know.
Let me say
You're
it.
already acting up.
Let me say it in my more traditional way. Let us move on. And my first move on, our first move on, is the salutations that we owe that came in a few minutes ago. And you know, I am so sorry that we was in here talking nonsense and not giving the proper homage to our favorite listener that we make sure that we give love to. I see your comment. Let us give you your love, and then I'll read your comment. We do this every week. I'm so happy to be able to do this every week, and that my brother John and our sister Steph joins us as we look into the camera every single week, and we say, Good morning, Sue. Sue said, and I am here for the shit.
Thank you, Sue.
Yeah,
that's what you about to
that's
get.
what you about to
Yeah,
get.
this show, I have a feeling it's gonna be one to remember.
All right, so
I gotta give Sue some love too. You know, for Black women, hair is a thing. You know, and
crown and glory, grandma used to say.
Unfortunately for Black women, everybody else makes Black women's hair a thing, although you should mind your business. And like seriously, just mind your business about what I want to do with my head. But I was wearing my locks on Friday on the Hustlers Hive, and I usually stream like we do here. And Sue sent me the sweetest message after. It was just really nice and encouraging, because when you're making a significant change, it changes your aesthetic and all those other things. You go through your little motions of, all right, how do I feel about this? So shout out to Sue. She, because I'm still your bestie.
You can share her. You know, the thing is, I mean, Sue is someone who, when you get to know her, everybody feels like she's their best friend.
Oh yeah,
and that
I had one night out with Sue, and that's my homegirl.
Absolutely, and you know, and I mean that in the most positive. K-Dub is like that. You know what I mean? K-Dub is like that. You know, when you spend some time with them, you know, they have a way of making you feel like they have connected with you and you have connected with them. And so it is one of the greatest things that I could say about her, that, you know, on the first day that I met her in January of 1993, you know, her and her sister Latrell took care of me like they had known me forever. And I've told the story. I won't get into it again, but you know, this is the reason why I pay so much homage to it. I know she doesn't like it, so I am going to stop, because if I don't, then she'll mess with my chin hairs, and I hate that. You know how Steppin with Marcus J live from New Day Legacy, and she's putting the love smiley faces in there so she hears us. Let us move on for real. All right, so let's do this, John. When you and I were talking earlier, not so much talking, but you know, bonding like we normally do earlier in the week, we talked about a story, and you know the story that I'm about to kind of share with the listeners. So often I will tease it. I'll go ahead and briefly tease it here. This is a situation where a young white boy and a young white girl got into a shootout. Believe it or not, a shootout with the police, law enforcement. So we're going to play this clip, and we're going to talk about a 12-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl. Now, this story is a few months ago. Yeah. It's listed from June 3rd, which was a wonderful, wonderful day. That's my date of birth. And it's a very, very old story, but we never got to it. And I want to talk about it, and John and Steph want to talk about it. So let's get it.
It's still relevant.
Absolutely.
The baseline is relevant.
Absolutely. Let's get it.
We're getting our first look at the 12-year-old boy who cops say opened fire at deputies, along with a 14-year-old girl. Today he was in court, and considering his age, it's hard to fathom the charges he's facing. Many news outlets have decided to show his face, even though he's a minor, because of the seriousness of the incident and the charges. Les Trent reports.
He looks like he could be in the principal's office for some silly prank at school. But this 12-year-old is in huge trouble with the law.
You're also charged with attempted first-degree murder of a law enforcement officer.
Travis O'Brien and a 14-year-old girl are accused of opening fire on cops during a 30-minute shootout.
Got shot fired. Everybody get hard cover.
They were coming out to kill cops.
The 12-year-old did not speak during today's hearing, at which the judge referred to him as Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien.
Cops say the boy and the girl ran away from a home for troubled youth. They broke into a house and found 2 shotguns, an AK-47, and a handgun. When cops arrived, the girl reportedly said to the boy, "I'm gonna roll this down like GTA," referring to the violent video game Grand Theft Auto.
Shooting out the rear window toward my direction.
Deputies ducked for cover behind trees.
They just busted out the window in the back. Stand by. Female has a shotgun in her hand. Stand by. Put the gun down now! She's got the AK and the shotgun. She's wrapping around the top of her neck.
Then came the stunning realization that they were being fired upon by children.
Hey guys, just hold behind hard cover. Let's not shoot these kids, man. Let's just hold on. Take our time. 10-4, they're shooting at me. She's re-racking around inside the shotgun. All right, let's not engage them anymore. Let's not challenge them. Just hold behind hard cover. We're just going to hang out here.
You can hear one officer praying it doesn't end badly.
Don't let me do this. Don't do this.
You can hear the restraint of the deputies pleading not to have to use their guns.
Cops say the girl, seen in this photo given to the news media by her father, was shot and wounded when she refused orders to drop the shotgun and opened fire from behind a parked car.
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10 bullet holes.
30 seconds later, young Travis O'Brien came out of the house with his hands raised.
They shot through the bedroom window. They shot from the garage door. I mean, this is like Bonnie and Clyde.
Now these juvenile Bonnie and Clyde desperados have to face the music.
You're also charged with attempted first-degree murder of a law enforcement officer.
Aint has Steppin with Marcus J live from New Den, Legacy Internet Radio. So we see what it is. And before John takes the con first, we're getting some love from another one of our favorite listeners, Legacy Internet Radio, royalty and alumni, the Legal Tamika Robinson is checking us out right now. And she says, what the entire hell am I watching and hearing? And why is capital murder not on the table? They didn't kill anybody, but I dig where you're coming from. In the interest of full disclosure, this story is over a year old, from June of 21. And just for whatever reason, we just never got to it. We got another one of our longtime listeners and family members are checking us out. First of all, Sue says, wow. Right. And one of my favorite people, my sister cousin Terry is checking us out, who I love. Cousin Terry is saying some rappers are being prosecuted under RICO statutes because of their lyrics. These kids stated they took their actions because of GTA. Very honest and fair point. And she's saying peace to us in the family here as well. So you got the con, John. What you got, bro?
So he came out with his hands up, right? So you figure if he had ran away, they'd have shot him in the back several times and killed him?
You mean like the dude in South Carolina?
Like anybody, like any black person.
Yeah.
Had he ran away?
Walter somebody in South Carolina.
Or maybe
Walter Scott, South Carolina.
Maybe if he had never fired at the police, and maybe if he didn't have a gun, they would have shot him. Maybe that's the trick for black people not to get killed by the police. Maybe we got to be armed and shoot at them and then give up. Maybe.
I would challenge you not to try that.
I listen. Like George, remember George? Opposite George. I'm going to do everything. I don't know at this point. I don't know. This story is over a year old, and I'm just hearing about it last week. I mean, come on.
I heard about it when it originally
30
happened.
minutes of open live gunfire with police. What Tamir Rice got? 2 seconds?
4.
2.3 seconds.
4 seconds.
4 seconds.
2.3.
2.3
2.3 seconds, and he was by himself
in the park.
not in a house,
In a park
in a park
with a toy.
These two were in a house, closed, undercover, letting loose. Let the AK spray. I mean, into any white people out there, to any persons out there who are not considered minority or ethnic, or no, that's a bad word, who are not considered minorities in this country, and any of those people, any of you people who consider yourselves real Americans or whatever other thing, you cannot possibly tell me that there's no such thing as white privilege. You cannot tell me that there's no systemic racism or white supremacy prominent and dominant in this country, and ancillarily so throughout the world. You just can't. And if you do, your cognitive dissonance is on a level that is not measurable, right? I can't measure that much for you to not understand what we're talking about. All right, real easy. January 6th, what was that? 2,000 white people, right? About 2,000 of them?
A lot.
Okay, let's say 1,000. Rush the Capitol, beat up police, and hit them with sticks. If half of them were black, they'd all been dead.
Every single one of them.
Laid out. They'd have ran after the ones running away and killed them just for thinking about trying it.
Let's get a comment in from the legal. Tamika Robinson and Steph, I want you to jump in right behind this. Tamika says, no doubt that if these children were anything but white, that story would have a different ending. And if they lived, it would be attempted capital murder on the table. I'll say my piece after you, Steph. What say you?
So as an update, Travis was the only of the two that was charged as an adult. He was sentenced to a maximum risk assessment program to be followed by a conditional release, and he is not allowed to be held past his 21st birthday. There is a young man in Florida, and I'm going to use like for like, right? There's a young man in Florida who, remember, you guys probably remember him some years ago. He was play wrestling with his stepsister or half sister,
And she died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was 11 or 12, and he has never seen the outside again, right? And we know that his story is plausible. Kids play fight all the time. Sometimes you're like, be careful with her. She's your sister. You know, you'll say those little things. Right. And
I used to put my sister in the figure 4 all the time.
Right. Yeah, I'm laughing because yes,
Yeah.
we would watch WWF and we would have our little outside. We would pretend we were throwing each other against the ropes and everything else.
Kemper Terror neck breaker. I'm guilty.
There you go. I'm using that because that is how simple it is for the wheels of justice to spin the other way for the same individuals. And I'm talking outside of racial demographic, everything else is the same, except that these kids were running away from Florida United Methodist Children's Home. Now, the young girl, they did not charge as an adult. I don't know what her sentence was. I didn't know.
She was 14. Why not?
She was a little older.
And
Yeah,
she was
older.
15 when they charged him. They did not charge. He was charged as an adult. She was not.
Yeah.
And so, what I don't even... when I think of Tamir Rice, I'm so angry. There's no offense that's more egregious than that one. There's nothing I could compare it to. Clearly a little boy and someone looks from a window and says, a man has a gun. And they pull up, and this man, you can now visually see, you know he's not a man. Doesn't take you 2 seconds to know this ain't a man, right? You know he's not a man, and yet he's no longer here because 2.3 seconds is all you allowed him. These people, when you're listening to this, are praying, please don't make me do this. Because and there is the newscasters is praising them for their restraint. So when it happens and it's a young Black girl of 16 who thinks she's defending herself at a foster home, or it's Tamir Rice who didn't deserve it, what I want you to realize is the opposite occurs every single time. There is a lack of restraint, and the lack of restraint is trained and intentional.
It is policing.
It is policing. It is not protect and serve. What those young kids got was service and protection. You had other cops, mind you, any other time, what the big conversation is, the good cops need to police the bad cops. We noticed that every cop there was being good because they were capable of restraining themselves in the moment. And this is the thing that when I'm having conversation, at this big old age, I'm only having conversations with people who are rational. And if you cannot see that that restraint is a chosen tool when it comes to Black people on the street, that restraint is an option. And when it comes to white people, and I've seen it, we've seen white people being served a ticket and cursing the cop out and trying to drive off. I've seen, white people run into police cars with their car, over a ticket. If you can't see that restraint is chosen and applied as they choose to, there's no conversation to be had. We can't go anywhere else if we can't deal with that in its truth.
There's nothing to be said. There's nothing to be said. The reality is, if you are to apply Tamir Rice, which is, in our estimation, the clearest parallel here to this case.
Except he wasn't shooting.
Tamir Rice was in that park by himself. There wasn't nobody around. So he wasn't even a threat. He wasn't even a threat. And the irony and the part that is so infuriating for me, and probably for everybody else, is I think the police did the right thing in this case.
I don't disagree with you.
And I think not only did the police do the right thing in this case, the unfortunate reality is we are not afforded the same benefit. I am not okay with killing kids. So when I say the police did the right thing in this case, like, I understand they were under fire, and I would not have had a problem if they had killed them kids because of what we saw in that video. They were under assault by them kids. And at this point, doesn't matter that you're a kid.
You're taking adult action.
You taking adult actions. It doesn't matter that you're a kid. I'm okay with the fact that they showed restraint because they were kids. But if it went a different way, I would have been good with that too. Having said that, my issue is here, always has been, the fact that we are never given the same benefit of the doubt. And, long before our three began, when I was a lot more aggressive in making my points, and certainly more aggressive in my spirit, when every single week we would come on this show, or I would come on this show, and I would lay out the names. And not only would I lay out the names, I would lay out the situations. Terrence Crutcher, Walter Scott, Tamir Rice, and John Crawford, and Sean Bell, and Amadou Diallo, and Eric Garner, and then we can add the sisters. What's the sister's name? Breonna Taylor, but the one that was with the car, Sandra Bland. You know what I mean? Like, we do that. We can do that. And we will come on here every single week. I will come on every single week and name those names and those situations and how we were treated, And the reality is we were treated poorly solely because of who we are. And I would also make the point that white people are the foundation and the blueprint of this country in the way that they are treated. Look at your computer. Pull your computer out of the box, and the way it is, that's the standard.
Factory.
That's the factory settings. That's how white people are in this country. White people in this country are factory settings.
They're given
And
the
everything
privilege
else,
of that.
they have the privilege of being factory settings, and everything else, when you add, for lack of a better term, and pardon the pun, color to it, then you give it personality. Then you give it, the differences. But yet, you still don't want to drop your computer, do you? You still don't want to get water on your computer, do you? You still don't want nobody to fuck with your computer, do you? Because you value your computer, don't you? So, to keep with that analogy, and hopefully it makes sense, because sometimes I have some good ones and sometimes they fall flat. I'm not sure where that one lay. But to keep with that, I feel that in this case, the factory settings was the way it should have been. So I'm good with the way this thing turned out. Where I have a problem is I know that had it been us, it would have turned out different. Now, in the spirit of life that I am in right now, it's hard for me to want to have a hard heart towards people who survived when I know that mine wouldn't. And that's a challenging thing for me because I'm coming out of that part of my life and I'm moving towards a more fair. You know what I mean? I want to be fair, and I'm not sure that how these kids was treated was fair. I'm struggling with this. My instincts and my gut tell me, and John, I see you want double Dutch in here, so I'm gonna give it to you in a minute. My instincts and my gut tells me that the right thing happened here. But where I struggle is you ain't got to ask me what I think about how this would have turned out had them been Hakeem and Rashida. Because we know what it is and we know how that would have turned out. And that makes me struggle. But do I struggle because it would have been different for us versus the right thing being done? It's a hard thing. And the fact that we as Black people in this country, we are always put in a position where we have to show, not have to, because we got a choice here. So I'm not saying we have to in that sense. Like I get that part. Don't question me on the have to part. But we're expected to show compassion for people who don't even fuck with us.
Yeah.
People who don't even fuck with us, we got to show compassion for them. Why? Because by nature, we are compassionate people. We understand right from wrong. And we understand that don't nobody want to kill a 14-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy. We don't want to do that. Even if they are trying to kill us, we don't want to kill them. They ain't even got a frontal lobe. But then they were aggressively attacking police when Tamir Rice was being a 12-year-old boy in the park playing with his gun, his toy gun that was sold in the store. So it's hard, man. You can see and you can hear as I've gone through that, as I've laid that out, how I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with this because, like many of our brethren, I want to be the militant fuck white people Black dude. Fuck white people, all of them, because these two white kids got away with trying to kill the cops when we know that we would not have. I want to be the aggressive Black dude on that. My spirit, I'm not, because I think the right thing happened with how they were treated. My argument in fight is I know we wouldn't have been treated the same, and I think we need to deal with that. And you know how Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and that radio, John, you got the con.
The wrong thing was done. They shouldn't have walked out of that house alive. And I'm indifferent to their lives. I don't know them, and I don't have anything to say about them. Here's what I do know. About 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, the current mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, created a organization called 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. Well, he co-created it. And he used to have these, town hall type meetings, have discussions. And something I was made to understand. A person who openly tries to harm, I'll hold that. Yellow?
Is the lady of the house there?
You're listening to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. No,
Yeah, okay.
How you get a podcast number?
I was about to tell him you're listening to a podcast,
Ads.
and the lady of the house is here. If you want to talk to her, you could have, but I think that he ran and hide, or maybe
So,
had the wrong number. John, continue your point,
I think my conspiracy theorist hat just got on that one. As I was saying, it is a special kind of person who intentionally tries to do wrong to law enforcement. They have a certain disregard for consequence that makes them more dangerous than others. Right? So with that said, those police officers did what some might believe to be the better thing. Right? But people who try to kill cops are sick. And they don't need to be in our society. And y'all know how I feel about policing. But the idea that you are going to murder police means you have a different concept of consequence of action. So you're subject to do anything. And it's not like they were little black children. Because you might be able to understand that because they're going to say, look, they got Tamir Rice and they ain't going to get me. Right? Or if I go down, I'm going down swinging. That's different. These children had every reason to believe that they could murder these police and come out unscathed. That's dangerous. They had felt that way because of the boy in the church who shot up the people who prayed with him. The boy in the riots who shot up the people and got away with it. And all the others who were brought in unharmed after they shot up people and were armed. So there is no justification for what they did. And another point I will disagree with you on, Marcus, is no one wants to kill 14-year-old. White cops want to kill 14-year-old black people. They do. They want to. They want a reason to. Because they have been indoctrinated with the ideology that young black people are the crime in this nation. They are who they are after. They're the ones who are going to prevent them from going home to their families. So yes, white cops want to kill 14-year-old black kids. And it wasn't the fact that they were kids is what didn't get them shot. It's the fact that they were white. Because they could have been 22 and 24 and they probably wouldn't have got killed because they were white. So trying to justify this Nazism and white supremacy with age or some kind of innocence or some kind of justification of them not being mentally fit or developed or adults or whatever, I can't deal with that because that's not an honest conversation. That's a dishonest conversation. Nobody ever wants to face the reality of what we're dealing with. And we hide it behind all of the bullshit. All of the bullshit. And the next thing you know, black on black crime. And then, and these kids were troubled. All black kids are troubled. And when I say all, don't hit me with the not Diddy's kids and all that dumb shit. When I say all, I'm talking about a good 90% of black children are troubled. The trauma of being black in America is equivalent to PTSD for active military in combat. A lot of black children have seen their friends murdered. They've seen their parents and other adults in their life murdered, assaulted, put in jail. And most of the murder and assault, contrary to popular belief, does not come at the hands of relatives and neighbors. It comes from the police, the people who they are told are here to protect them, who they are told if something goes wrong, go find a cop. He'll help you. Then when they realize, no, that's because in school, it's go find a cop. Go find somebody in uniform to help you. But when you get home, mother said, don't you, cop, no. Don't call them, don't go to them. You know why? Because when they see you, they don't see somebody looking for help. They see somebody that's going to stop them from getting home to their family. And the first order of any cop, and there's no cop who can tell me different, first order is go home. I don't care. Don't tell me nothing about no duty. Don't tell me nothing about fighting crime. No, you here for a check, and your number one priority is to go home at the end of the day. Everything else is behind that. And when they see black people, they see an obstruction to them getting back to their families.
Hey, I have Steppin Marcus, J Live from New Dan Legacy and that radio. It's hard to argue with John, and I would love to hear somebody call in here and do it. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. I would love to hear somebody call in here and do it, because while I don't necessarily 100% agree with them, I don't have the kind of energy, desire, or history to argue with him, because he's probably more right than any point that I can make against what he just said. And here you have a moderate, harmony, can we all get along type of dude like I am, who hears what he just said, and I'm like, dispute it. You can't. They're trained to find shit to fix. And if you the problem, they trying to fix you, whatever that looks like. You know what I'm saying? And just me, I'm a harmless dude. I look harmless. I looked harmless. And I find myself in conversations with people just in passing, sometimes law enforcement. I speak to people, just do. What's up, bruh? I don't say hello, officer. Treat you like anybody else. If I met Barack Obama, I probably would say, what's up, bruh? If I met Joe Biden, I'd probably say, what's up, bruh? If I met the dude that cleaned their toilets, I'd probably say, what's up, bruh? That's just how I move. I treat everybody the same, police or not. But I could feel energy, and I could feel the energy of me knowing that I'm the harmless dude, and they still looking at me like I might fuck with them. They're trained to be that way. So how you gonna argue with anything he just said? I'm the moderate who just sat here and told you I think the right thing was done, but then I listened to John speak, and I can't find no fault in it. So what y'all got? 804-402-2893. That's the number to dial to dispute it or to co-sign it. I don't really care. I just want you to call. Ain't no Hostel Marcus, J Live from New Den Legacy and that radio. This is where I say my corny shit again. Let us move on. At this stage, we're going to talk. This one. All right. So I didn't tell them that I was going to bring this topic up. And so now I'm about to bring this topic up. And for those folks who are watching and listening, I am one who has a big problem with those of us who seem to find the need to use that nasty, disturbing, terrible ass N-word. For some reason, we just love to use it. I don't know why we do. We just do. We love to use the N-word. Oh, it's a term of endearment. Blah, 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 stupid ass, blah, blah, stupid, fucking stupid. Blah, blah, term of endearment, stupid ass, blah, blah, blah. You sound stupid. Did I tell you sound stupid when you say that? I did say that. Anyway, I'm going to play this clip. The white lady asked a British black man about using the N-word, and his response was very interesting. And I want you guys to hear it, and I want John and Steph to comment on it. Here's the clip.
Like the use of that in rap music, because I like the use of that in rap music, because obviously as a white person,
I'm going to play it, y'all. Don't be rushing me. The technical thing is going on, and it wants me to do a couple of steps before I actually
and like
do
the
it.
use
So
of
here
that
we
in rap
go.
music, and like the use of that in rap music, because obviously as a white person I've been brought up never to ever use that word, but a lot of the music I listen to says it 20 times in every song.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wanted to know what your thoughts are on that, and like whether you think it's a word that's become obsolete, or whether you think that there are negative consequences on the fact that it's so widely used.
I do, I very much do. I used to be someone who used the word all the time, as some of you may or may not know. I came to a stage in my life where one of my elders said to me, "You're better than that." And I started reading a bit more. I started studying the history of the word. I started looking at the brutality that had been underpinned by this word. Let me be clear, I'm not against people using the word. I'm just against the stupid idea that it's now become a term of endearment. It hasn't. It has so much blood attached to it. For me, it means what it's always meant. It is a term of white supremacist genocide. It is a word that says African people are not human. It was a way of reducing people to subhuman status, which led to, as I've said, to people being put in zoos or public lynchings in America, where someone could literally be barbecued in public, and people thought it was perfectly acceptable to bring their child, give their child a day of school to come and watch a person be barbecued in public. Rail systems would operate special lynching day rail cards. After the lynching, there'd be postcards with the dead person on front of it. They'd send out as souvenirs. So this is the history behind that word. If we look at early hip hop, when hip hop was a bit more independent, when hip hop was owned a bit more by the black community, we see that hip hop was completely offensive to everyone. People would say cracker, they'd say honky, they'd say nigger. You'd have Ice Cube making inappropriate songs like Black Korea. You'd have songs, that NWA songs that were about killing black people. Hip hop was just completely like punk. It was just offensive to everyone. But someone decided somewhere it was no longer acceptable to say cracker and honky and those kind of words, but nigger was okay. And for me, when we look at who owns hip hop, Mos Def made a song called Old White Men is running this rap shit. It's called The Rape's Over. It was on a beat, the same beat that Jay-Z made The Takeover on. And that song was taken off of his album without his label telling him, because he criticized white corporate ownership of hip hop. He said some tall Israeli is running this rap shit, and that was taken to be anti-Semitic. Leo Cohen is tall and he's Israeli. It's a statement of fact. It wasn't anti-Semitic. Like, that's who's in charge of rap. It's not black people. And so I think that the use of that word has become, to me, very gimmicky, has become a dangerous way of glossing over the reality of what it was to be black in America. And certainly for me, as someone whose mother's white, I don't understand the motivation for white people to want to use the word. When people are like, oh, but why can't I use it? I'm white. I'm like, first of all, why do you feel oppressed by that? I'm confused. And knowing the history, why do you want to call your black friend nigger? Let's just deal with that for a minute. Because my mum's white, and she's never had the desire to say, look at my little nigger son. So I'm confused why people want to use the word. Now, black people can figure out for ourselves whether or not we think it's intelligent to continue using the word. But why are young white kids like, I just want to. This comes back to your question a little bit. This perverse sort of, ooh, blackness is just a bit dangerous, and it's a bit sexy, and it's a bit violent. Ooh, can I say nigga, can't I? It's a little bit of that, yeah? But I don't think a song called Honkies in Harlem would get on Radio 1. But niggas in Paris will.
We've got
Ain't no half step with Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. If you know me, you know that I have been a strong opponent against the usage of the word, and it's been challenging for me to work with and speak with many of our brethren and our sisters who want to argue with me about using the word and why they feel they should be able to use it. And like that brother there, I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'm going to have my opinion. I'm going to give you the knowledge and the history behind it. And I'm going to let you be dumb on your own. But I have a very hard time with using that word as a term of endearment. Taking the word back, taking the power back. It's like, no. You know, there were many of us, our grandparents and our great-grandparents, and in some cases our parents, the last thing they ever heard was someone oppressing and harming them using that word. Now, in some sort of strange, twisted manner, we take it back and we make it ours, and we make it so that that kind of trauma is no longer the dominant personality of that word. I suppose I understand why someone would say that, but I just vehemently disagree with it. because that's the same person who ain't gonna go to a church and hear something and say, man, fuck that shit. You gonna cuss like that in a church? You're not. You're not gonna cuss like that in a church. And if you do, you're gonna hide it. You don't want nobody to hear you cuss like that in the church. Why? Because you sound crazy. You sound crazy. You sound crazy. Every time you say, what's up, my N-word, and you're referring to your brother, is one of the worst things that you could say to him. And why would you? This brother laid it out for you in a very, very direct and simple manner. That word is based in white supremacy. White people ain't nobody talking about y'all, man. When you talk about white supremacy, that ain't y'all. Unless you were white supremacists. Unless you good with it. Not arguing with white people over how they are not racist. I'm not doing that. Respect yourself. Respect me. Don't be an asshole. You're not racist. That's the end of that. But if you're somebody who is good with white supremacy in the systematic way that it controls our people and our country, then yeah, I'm talking about you. Because you probably say the word around your friends when we ain't around. Talking about us. But this ain't even about y'all. This is about us. This is about how we do not honor the ancestors like we say we want to do. The same ancestors who every time they heard that word died a little bit on the inside. Many of them died literally. I'm not going to be the guy that says we got to stop saying the word. Like the brother said, I'm not going to be that guy. Y'all going to do what y'all going to do. And it's cool. Y'all going to do what y'all going to do. But if you know me, I will thank you to not use it around me. And if you choose to use it around me anyway, I'm not going to challenge you. I'm not going to say, oh my God, you should never use the word. I'm Marcus J. Like, I ain't no guy that's special. You ain't got to do all that for me. You just know me. You know me. You know how I move. And so if you choose to use the word that way around me, that tells me how much you respect me. How much or how little you respect me. Because you know me. You know I don't fuck with that word. I'm going to say fuck 100 times. Fuck. I ain't using that word. I ain't using that word. I'm just not going to do it. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Day and Legacy and Radio. Getting some love from Legacy and Radio alumni who we love. The career cheerleader, our sister, Cara Presley. Red Table Talk. We're so excited for you and seeing the things that you're doing. And if you're still with us, please, almost James Brown, please, put in this chat here how we can listen to and rock with you, because you're so great and we're so proud of you and we see you. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Radio. Steph, jump in here, man. Am I on the island alone here? Am I the only one that rails against the people? And I rail against them, but I said my piece. I'm not going to be the guy in the cipher going, don't say that word. You shouldn't say that word. I ain't going to be in the cipher doing that, but if you know me, you know what it is. So that's what it is when it comes to me with regards to that. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and Radio. Steph, what you got on this topic? Anything?
So, I don't like to police anyone's language or tone or, things like that. I will say when people say I'm owning it, I 100% disagree with that. Just say you want to use it. But to say that, owning it has changed the meaning and the impact, not really. I don't think, it has its own beginnings. The beginnings have been around longer than we have. So how are you really changing the word? And I would say this, if you really are changing the word, the weight of the word, you won't be mad when other people say it. But the fact is, the weight of the word hasn't changed. I'm not saying, you can't use it. I'm not telling you what to say or how to speak. But I do think that using the narrative that it means something different, or it changes it changes because I'm using it with you. And no, not really. I just think the word is what the word is. That's why it's still controversial. If it was something, that where the intent and tone and everything, if that all just changed the nature of it, fine. But the fact that it will still cause fights or more means it's not really changed. And so use it if you want to, but don't lie to yourself and say it means something different because I'm using it now and I'm using it against you, John, and that makes it different or means something different. No, it was taken and the form of the word was bastardized and applied to Black people. It is the only slur attached to chattel slavery. It is the only slur that was created in a space. I mean, this is what I would say when you try to justify it. Think about the fact that we consistently apologize to those who went through the Holocaust or didn't survive the Holocaust. We apologize. And we would never use a slur. As a matter of fact, you don't have to say a slur, but just saying Jew or Jewish can create something. It can create backlash. It can get you canceled, so on and so forth. You don't have to use it in a certain way. Just saying it and not being of it can get you caught up. If you were to go to Japanese people who were put in internment camps here, and you were to use a slur for them, people would be appalled. What's interesting to me is we're the only people, and I say we because I'm included in that. I've been guilty of it. The only people that will take something and assume that the only way we can create power around this negative thing is to keep using it, that we don't have the power to stamp it out, so we might as well use it. And I think that's something that we really need to consider. I think we need to look closer at that. Like, why do we, unlike any other ethnicity, Jews don't call each other any words that were used as a slur or an assignment of a slur to them, nor does anyone else. Mexicans don't. Most Latinos don't. They don't use it. They don't truly use it. And it's not a consistent thing for them. You're not going to pop on, Selena and all that other, and all the other music that is native to them and find that negativity. We truly are the only ones. And I think it comes from the exact opposite of what we say. We will say, well, it's the power. We're taking ownership of it and everything else. You take ownership of it, but you still use it in the same very angry ways that it was used. You still apply it. You wouldn't call people on a certain level who are Black that. The pastor, the people you revere in the community, and so on, unless you're just debased and low anyway. But when you're at a certain level, you don't use it. And the reason that you don't use it, and the reason you don't use it in mixed company and everything else, is that if someone else adopts, adapts, or applies it, you're going to be ready to take it to another level. And this is not me saying, oh, okay, let me explain why they can't use it, or we shouldn't use it because they can't use it. No, this has nothing to do with them, as we say. Has nothing to do with them. I just would challenge and say, you're being dishonest when you say we've changed the verbiage. We've changed it. We own it now. No, we don't. It's the same thing. And if it wasn't, it wouldn't be so inflammatory today.
And how Steppin Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy in that radio. I dig that. Thank you for making it plain, because I often feel unheard when I'm talking to our people about how crazy you sound when you say that. And I find myself met with opposition from rational people who will argue with me about the right to slur themselves. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Let me get a couple comments in. Let's get the career cheerleaders with us, and we appreciate her. She has added to the chat, like we asked, how we can find her listening to her podcast, and it says, "Quote: Let's Red Table Talk that." That's the podcast. Let's Red Table Talk that. So if you Google "Let's Red Table Talk that," you will find it. And I'm so happy and proud of our sister for rocking and rolling there. All right, so let's get this comment. When people use the word without a specific intention, it lets me know they may not know they can choose the language of how they define themselves. When you understand the weight of the word, you start to understand why not using it is more powerful. She continues, yeah, that's a successful statement right there. And she continues, I swear we are the only oppressed people no one feels sorry for. The narrative, quote, we may have deserved it, end quote, was created and stuck long ago. We've been unpacking that ever since. I dig that, man. You know, and just kind of piggyback on that point and the one that Steph was making, John, when Steph was talking about how we happen to be the only people who openly and consciously slurs ourselves, who try to make it seem like it's a positive. Like, why do we do that? I don't understand it. I don't know if you do, but I would love to know what you think about it.
I'm going to need you guys to give me a moment here because there's a lot to unpack. And I don't want to be contrary to what you're saying, because everything that you've said, everyone and everything is said regarding this has merit. But what I'm going to say is language is choice, right? And intent is much more powerful. On occasion, I ride a bus to New York because I can get cheap flights out of New York to go places I like to go internationally. And the bus is usually driven by an Asian person, a person of Asian descent. I'm assuming they're either Korean or Chinese, most of the Chinese. And there are some Chinese people on the bus. If you've ever been in public with Chinese people who speak Mandarin Cantonese, you will hear the N-word quite a lot. Because in their language, it means like. So if you say, it was crazy. It was like, I want to go, it was like, but they say the word. You can hear the word, right? But it doesn't mean that to them. It is the word, though. You hear it. It's spoken. But its meaning to them is something, it's another language to them. So again, my issue with this, I'm going to open it and close it the same way. Any kind of power, be it negative, positive, whatever you want to give it, you're giving it, because it ain't nothing but a word. At the end of the day, it's nothing but and if you say it's weight and there's blood on it, that's your choice. If you say it's a term of endearment, that is also your choice. If you say whatever you want to say about it, that's your choice, because it's nothing but a word. I've heard people wax poetic about how kings in certain part of Africa will call that word, and how white people started using it derogatory to black people was, we've captured and defiled your king. These are your kings we have over here, and you're lowered. And these are educated people with far more education than I have, who know about words and their origins and so on and so forth. But again,
I got
this
this
is
one.
wait. Again, I'm not finished. Give me some minutes.
That's why I said let him finish.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. The power of it is what you choose to give it. It's a choice. I heard what's the guy? Coates, Amani Coates. That his name? Ta-Nehisi Coates. They asked him about it, and he says, I don't use it, right? He says, and I can go on about using it, not using it. He said, but here's an example. If I'm walking down the street with my wife and she calls me dear or sweetheart or baby, that's fine, because that's what I am to her, right? But if a strange woman comes up to me and calls me baby, honey, or dear sweetheart, my wife might have a problem with that. Right? We have to find a way to stop looking at the shiny thing over here. And that's what I think it is. It's a shiny thing over here as a distraction to us to make a big deal out of this, so we don't remember Tamir Rice. So we don't remember Big Mike getting shot in the back, running away, but this cop still feared for his life. Right? So we don't remember that the Queen's crown has a diamond in it stolen from Africa. India, same difference. That the whole fact that diamonds are even valuable is behind a white supremacist named Rhodes and De Beers Company. And they give out scholarships in the name of this man who was pure, unadulterated evil. But we want to talk about the Nword. But we don't want to have a conversation about women saying that they won't marry a man who loves them if he can't spend 3 months' salary on a diamond that kids in Sierra Leone kick through the street.
That's what you equated to.
I equated to making a big deal out of something that doesn't need to be made a big deal out of it, about us consistently being distracted by this foolishness and nonsense.
So you don't think that we can chew gum and walk at the same time? Also,
no. Here's what I do believe.
No. I want to hold on and say one thing.
Good, and I'm
also,
that.
When Marcus prefaced this, it was about what's going on internally, not what was. We don't care what they're saying in this regard. This was about the internal dialogue and how we address one another.
Okay, again, it has too much of our focus.
It is completely. We say it so much.
It is completely not worth the time and energy that we discuss about it. It is a word.
I don't agree with that. I want to stop.
We have
I
got a couple more things, bro. I need it. I need a couple more things, right?
Go ahead, bro. Make it quick because I want to move on.
Again, we are dealing with what nobody wants to deal with. We're dealing with branding. We're dealing with what somebody chooses to have importance, right? Go into a theater and light up a cigarette. Everybody will look at you like you was crazy. You know, cigarettes kill people, and cigarettes and this and cigarettes and that and cigarette. But you will sit there and eat a big popcorn, drink a 42-ounce soda, and eat some goobas. That'll kill you much faster than cigarettes.
I don't care if you eat that. I care about if I have to inhale it. No,
it doesn't matter. But no, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you.
We're not seeing where you're going. Make it plain.
Because I'm not talking about you and secondhand smoke. I'm talking about way people look at people, right, who do certain things to themselves, and based on the branding, right, choose that it's okay. Right? Cigarette smoking is okay or not okay because they choose to make it not okay. But you can drink as many sodas as you want, and it does more damage to you.
I see where you're going. I just don't agree with
marijuana and cocaine and stuff is not okay, but alcohol is worse. Caffeine and nicotine are much more addictive.
We're getting way off the topic.
No, we're not.
We are.
We are not getting off topic.
We are.
You know why? You know why you say we're getting off topic? Because you want to make it important.
Because it is important.
It's not.
Words
because
matter.
Words matter. And I told you,
Words
Chinese
matter.
people say it 50 times on a bus, but it doesn't mean the same thing to them.
It's a filler word. It is a filler word.
It's a filler word, but it's the same.
Okay,
no,
so
but they don't
also-
pronounce it that way. But listen, it's the same thing. The word is being spoken. You choose to interpret it how you choose. It is your choice.
Only Marcus.
Nas says he went to hell for snuffing Jesus.
All right,
and people didn't have a problem with it. It's about branding. Listen.
Make it plain and make
this
it
is
plain
as plain as it can
on.
be. You give it the power you give, or you don't give it the power you give. It is your choice. When I'm around you, I don't use it, right? Because I respect you and I know that you have an issue with it. I don't, right? but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna not respect you. I make a choice.
I
right?
can dig that.
When I moved here and I got into a relationship with someone, I used to use the B word consistently, but it was not part of the lifestyle that my partner at the time had. So I completely removed it from my dialect until I went back to New York and was with my group of girlfriends, and we consistently used the B word
I think
all day long.
We understand each other, but here, because I want to move us on, and your point is well taken. I understand you. I think Steph does as well. We just don't agree with you, and that's just what it is.
Okay.
And I think words matter. I think the fact that we act like words don't matter is disingenuous, especially when Black folks walk around saying that we use the word, you know what I mean? Negus means king and all this stuff, when negus does mean king. And Negus is an Ethiopian word. If we're to use etymology, then we know that the Ethiopian language uses that word, and it does mean king. It does mean to ascend to the throne. And Black folks searching for a reason to use that vile ass word misappropriated the real word, and it ain't even spelled the same. This is how you know it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Words matter. If I sat here and I disrespected you and I said something to you that was inappropriate, you gonna tell me that words don't matter? Of course you won't, because you just got disrespected by me. And so why would I, as a Black man in this country who understands history, who has a father in military uniform 20 miles from where we stand, even though I'm rocking out in my Jersey City gear tonight, hat and shirt, that's where he's from, but militarily, he was stationed right here in this market in the early 1960s in a military uniform, couldn't get a meal. Why? Because he was that word to these people. But here I am, 50 years later, I'm supposed to just accept it because it's just a word. And I know that my peers want to use or misuse the actual monarchy word, the Ethiopian word of negus, Negus, and apply it the same in a weak, misappropriated way to justify bullshit. I'm not okay with that. Words matter. Every single time you disrespected by somebody, you're going to roll with it because it's just a word. You're not going to roll with it. If I came in here and I disrespected you and I called you out your name, which I never would, so you wouldn't be able to even respond to that question because it's me. But if someone else outside of your network called you something, even if it ain't that word, some other word, pick your word, and they called it to you outside of your name, regardless of what their intention was, if that word was to you a derogatory word, you're going to be like, it's just a word. I'm not going to judge using the B word and the N word. If that's what you do, then that's what you do. I don't do it, and I call it out every chance I get. Let me read this comment, and then you make your point.
You only need 20 seconds.
Your last. I'm gonna read these comments. You make your last point, then we'll move on. James Knox is checking in. He says, "Hello, family. Peace, my brother." Cara says, "John, you're dismissing that some people feel something when that word is said." And you can address that, or you can make your point. But whatever it is, make it quick because I want to move on. Go ahead.
No, I'm not saying that. You have the right to feel the way you want to feel about the word, and if you feel offended by it, then I don't have any problem with you feeling offended by it. Just like I don't have a problem with somebody who uses it, because it just I don't put any weight on it like that. I understand the negativity, the blood, and all that. But I'll give you an example. A cop can look at you and call you brother, a white cop, and be much more disrespectful than another black man calling you the N-word. I've felt much more disrespected getting side-eyed compliments from white folks than having black folks call me the N-word. Right? So it's about intent. It's about what's heartfelt. It is lazy. That's what I'll give to it, right? In my closing, it's lazy. You're mentally and emotionally lazy if you choose to substitute the word for lack of finding an easy way out of digging in your brain and finding something else to call someone, right? I've experienced it. I was 12 years old. I was in the Waldorf Astoria with my chorus, right? And we were all but one, every one of us but one was black. We had one white boy in the choir, in the chorus, and our director was a white man. And we were standing in a line in height formation, extraordinarily still, military style. And a group of young white men in tuxedos came by and said, da 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 da, in words, da 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 da, in words. Go get your in words at 12 in the Waldorf Astoria. During Christmas, it was Christmas season. So, having experienced that as a 12-year-old person, I don't know how many black people listening to us or that we know have had white people in their presence say that to them and be powerless to respond or do anything about it. But I've experienced that in my life. So I know the power of it. But what I'm saying is, we got so much more things to deal with. And yes, Steph, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. But if we need to break into a sprint, we might want to spit that gum out because it could choke us.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus here live from New Dan Legacy Net Radio. One of the things that frustrates me, Steph, I want you to respond to this. You can respond to what he just said or not. I think you might want to, but here's the piece that I want to add to that. Where I get frustrated, and I'm not saying that we're doing this here because we're not, but I did write this down as a piece or a companion piece to this topic that I want to talk about that we haven't really talked much about on the show, and I think it fits right here. But I get sick and tired of black people qualifying other black people's blackness. And I think this conversation is a perfect segue to that because you're going to get some of those, I use the N word every day, black folks. And I don't think that it's fair to qualify positively or negatively their blackness any more than they should positively or negatively qualify my blackness for choosing not to. You know, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black enough. If you don't listen to hip hop, you ain't black enough. If you dress a certain kind of way, you ain't black enough. If you dress a certain way, you too black. Like, why do we as black people qualify each other's blackness? I have, I guess at this point, we'll put on the table how, you know, if you look at the Woman King, you'll have a certain kind of feeling about it, and if you disagree, you're either too black or not black enough. You know, if you look at what's going on with Halle Bailey right now, Halle Bailey right now, you either too black or not black enough. You know, black people. We're talking about how we treat each other with regards to the N-word, but that just scratches the surface. Like, we are not a monolith. We love to say that, but then we turn around and act like a monolith. You know, so I know that I kind of unloaded a lot here on you. I know you can handle it because you're the smartest of the three of us, but it's on the table. This is the stage of the show where when you say your piece, John and I, we're going to talk about this as well, because I think if I'm looking at the balance of, we got one other topic that we'll try to get to, but if we don't get to it, then so be it. This is important enough that I think we should spend some time in it. And so, for the purposes of just recapping the question and requalifying what we're talking about, and then I'm going to read a comment, and then I want you to respond after the comment. I haven't read the comment, but I want to make sure that comment is on the floor before you say your piece, so that everybody kind of has their piece. But what I'm asking here is, why is it that we Black people try to qualify each other's blackness based upon our own individual feelings? Let me get this comment in, and then I'll kind of have you jump in here. We're getting comment from Vintage A, says, ain't nobody out here calling one another niggas or words matter. Absolutely. I can't just say niggle knocker use profanity without the radio stating me out, bleeping me out, etc., etc. Ultimately, be careful about the words you choose. The great writers know it's easy to find a sub for the word. So that's Vintage's comment. Vintage, we appreciate you. Thank you for rocking with us. We appreciate you participating and making your comment. Hopefully, my reading represented your meaning. Steph, jump in here. And the question that I asked prior to reading that comment, if you choose to incorporate that comment into your response.
So I'll say that I get the quippiness of it all, and we're running chewing gum, we could choke, blah, blah, blah. We run into a lot of things. We run and carry guns. We run and kill children in our communities. We run and call women bitches. We manage to do a whole lot at the same time. So, when we don't have a whole lot of time, do I say that one situation outweighs another? Yeah, there are absolutely things that you will find where the weight is different. I'm speaking on this topic. And on this topic, we've got to decide whether words matter or not. And if it doesn't matter to you, that's fine. But no one in the room gets to change the historical relevance or the meaning of it. You just don't. You can want to, and you can decide to say, I no longer listen or pay attention to the word or the historical meaning, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that's why I always go back to the minute someone says it out of their mouth, that shouldn't, in your opinion, be saying it, you have to make a decision that it doesn't matter because it doesn't hold any weight. It just doesn't. And at that point, Jim Bob gets to say it just like Javon. That's just what it is. Now, are there some things? I mean, I heard a Louisiana representative, a congressman, look at a Black woman, an environmental attorney, and call her boo while she was testifying in front of Congress. I'm trying to let you talk, boo. And if I could reach through the TV, I would have strangled him with my bare hands, because I know when we decide, and so it's going to my point of, don't dismiss the fact that there are people out there right now overlooking the way he called her that and why he called her that and how he said it, because of the same reasons that they will overlook the N-word. Same thing. It falls into that. He could easily say, y'all call each other that all the time. We have to remember the power of words. This one word is directly attached and was directly created to validate race, no longer as a concept, but as a mandate of treatment and law and legality. And that is significant. Now, am I going to get mad if you say it? No. Do I listen to tracks that say it? Yes. Do some of y'all need to be called it? No, let me stop. Yes. But
let me be clear.
There's
yes,
some. Yes.
There are some who are absolutely that word, even if I ain't going to say it.
But the fact of the matter is, saying it, the word itself still has weight. Now, flipping over to the topic that we're segueing into, when we are starting to quantify Blackness, and I will say this: I see a lot of conversations about Black people gatekeeping Blackness. And usually, this is the irony. Black people will get mad if you say when say you have a white guy that can clap on the one, right? Got a little bit of rhythm, shimmy his shoulders. I seen him, y'all seen him. Remember that dude who was in the Alphas? Shame on him. And they, shame on you, brothers. The Qs would never. But Qs spoken from a sister. The Qs would never. But yeah, he was doing his whole shimmy thing, and they gave him the keys to the Black Kingdom. And it was immediately that, oh yeah, he's invited to the cookout. We some cookout giving people, right? We get passes and invites to anyone. And then there were people that were jumping out there like, y'all need to stop gatekeeping Blackness. Well, we do it with one another all of the time. I think there is a significant drive to be able to identify what Blackness is, and this fear that for so long so many people haven't been able to identify it, or it doesn't stand on its own or have its own strength outside of our community, that when it's being leveraged or used outside of the unit that we are, we immediately we want to be liked and loved so much. It's like, look at them, they eat the same food we eat. Bring Charlie to the cookout. Look at him. He's singing to Charlie Wilson. Bring JoJo to the cookout. We're going to call him JoJo now. We're so desperate to be loved and liked that the minute someone is absorbing our culture, our dialect, our verbiage, anything that is reflective of us, we immediately bring down all the walls and say, oh, yeah, you invited too. And the invitation is why half of us are in here right now on this soil. Because we, not anyone else, if you all of a sudden you could go to all the classes you want to and convert to Judaism, and they still are going to let you know you're not one of us. We are the only ones, very much like we adhere to, subscribe to, and let the slurs that are created about us melt on our tongues. We also, and this is why words matter, because words begin to influence action. That is my belief in it. And again, I'm saying this as someone that, in a closed circle, it may happen, right? But the fact of the matter is I recognize the impact of it. And the impact of it does change behaviors. It absolutely does. It says a lot about how we feel about ourselves. And it also says why we are so quick to open up the gates and let everybody in. I had a group of Black girlfriends, and we had one white girlfriend who was in the mix. And one day they were like, oh no, so-and-so is Black. And I said, no, she's not. She's white. She's white. If something breaks out in here right now and someone picks up the phone and calls the cops and says a Black woman in here did X and Y, they are not going to come in here and look at her. She is white, and she was fair and smart enough to say, exactly. We ascribe who we are very quickly to other people because we want to be liked by others. We don't necessarily care if we are liked by one another. And that's why you're truly so comfortable assigning that word to one another, because you're not out there assigning those other words to other people. And those words weren't even used to diminish or designate someone as an other. That's the thing that is so shocking to me. Not that we use it, but the fact that, I'm just like, call a spade a spade. Be real with it. Be real with it. Acknowledge that it has impact. That impact also drives behaviors and actions. The whole situation, I don't know if the two of you saw The Woman King, but I saw it this week. I will tell you, I saw no less than a 80 reply thread on Twitter where they were like, y'all stay trying to emasculate us, calling her a king. You didn't even see the movie, bruh. You don't even know why that was the assignment she was given. You're mad about that. That emasculates you. I mean, I haven't received my box of masculinity yet. I don't know who it's being stolen from at the moment, but when I get it, I'll let you know. But you're so mad about that. And you're talking about saying these words, literally emasculation. So I made you a eunuch. I reduced your testosterone. You're mad about that, but you can't understand the impact of a word that is historically known to devalue, and a word that has us so when white folk don't say it, we're like, look at them, they're good. Because they don't say that one thing. We easily transition. I just feel like we easily transition the weight off of things. And then when we're dealing with it later, it's we took the weight off of what Trump said when he came down that gold escalator. And look at us now.
Ain't no half Steppin Marcus here live from New Day and Legacy and that radio. John, you first.
That was a perfect transition, Marcus. And I'm gonna say this. The fact that we talking about blackness, to me, is the issue. Because you know how I feel about us even calling ourselves black. I'm sorry that we do that. Black is absence of color in everything negative. And we call ourselves that, and we act like it ain't. And all of us, only thing we do by calling ourselves black is justify other human beings calling themselves white, and we promote white supremacy. We're not black. None of us are black. We're people who happen to have some African ancestry or more African ancestry than others, and it shows up in our pigmentation. But we're not black. We are not negative. We're not absent of light. We're not the opposite, the polar opposite of the people who call themselves white.
So here's where I would challenge.
Well, wait. Let me finish it.
Yeah, please finish.
Let me finish
I'm going
that.
to challenge you.
We were given every single title we have ever had. And we've chose to accept those titles as they were given to us. We've never chosen one of our own. And trust me, when a white person, certain white people especially, call people black, those are some blacks, they're saying black, but they're hearing the N-word in their own heads. So again, it's a there's no blackness. There's no blackness. We're not gatekeeping blackness and in black culture. There's no black culture. You know what it is? It's survival culture.
Here's where
because what we did was we survived oppression, and we survived being denigrated, raped, murdered, enslaved, and chattel slavery. That's another word people kill me with. Oh, we're slaves and these people are slaves. No, we were the sole chattel slaves who were born into slaves to give birth to slaves to be bred as slaves. Other people were conquered and given indentured servitude to serve out time, and that time was given freedom, and the children born out of that were not born into slavery, only those who were captured. Right? So we're the only chattel slaves. So get that straight. Right? We're the only ones born into it and bred for it specifically. Inbred. The biggest buck with the biggest woman to do labor to make this country what it is. Right? So there's no blackness. And the gatekeeper and the idea of black, again, distraction. Right? We're not black and they're not white. We're not negative and they damn sure ain't positive. We're all human beings trying to find a way to make it. And as long as we keep battling this dumb shit, right, the 1% will own 90% of the world while the rest of us fight for the 10% that's left, and it will not change.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Day and Legacy in that radio. Let me see. Terry Ollie Marshall says, tell him, sis, with a bunch of heart emojis. The woman king is a must for me. Beautiful queen, more heart emojis. Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Vintage says, that was well said, Steph. Damn. with some clapping hands. Here's where I want to challenge you, John. You good with using the N word and the B word, but we ain't black?
No, it's not. It's not about me being good with it.
Sounds like that's what you said.
Okay, so let me make sure that you
Clarify.
understand.
Please do.
I'm not good with any of it. Again, it's intellectually and emotionally lazy. But when my beef on the other thing was giving it all of that energy and power when all it is they just realize. Listen, we were N-words, then we were Negroes, then we were coloreds, then we were blacks, then we were African Americans, and then we went back to blacks. It's all a campaign. It's all marketing, and we accept it. And none of it equals anything good or positive. We accept the names that they give us, right? We accept the name. I wonder what 250 years from now people are going to say about people calling themselves black. I can't believe they call themselves black.
I can dig that. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy and Array. I can't say that I disagree with that last point you made. You might have had the comment of the night. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy and that radio. All right, so we're gonna move to our final topic of the night. The one political topic that we will get to tonight. This one is also one that will cause you to cock your head to the side and roll your eyes and say, really, what the fuck? So Republicans about tired of the migrants, and they about tired of the Democrats. So they said, you know what? Y'all could take these damn migrants. They putting them on buses and they sending them to Democratic cities. Y'all got to hear this shit, man. Take a listen.
I love it.
The Vice President. This baby among 40 migrants bused to Kamala Harris's Washington, D.C. residence from Texas by Republican Governor Greg Abbott. Most of Venezuelans fleeing an economic crisis. This Venezuelan says he's finally made it to the U.S., having spent a month trying to make the crossing. Governor Abbott is not the only Republican moving migrants. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis ordered dozens he claims are illegal to be flown from his state to the affluent Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. They said when we arrived we would have shelter, work, food. All that was a lie, he says. Everyone on that flight has been bused to a US naval base, and neither Republican governor is willing to step back.
We will continue busing migrants to Washington, D.C., to New York until President Biden does his job.
The Biden administration has branded the actions of political opponents a stunt.
Frankly, a dereliction of duty when you are an elected leader to play those kinds of games with human life.
US authorities say in almost a year, 1.8 million migrants have been arrested trying to cross into the US from its southern borders. This very public and political battle is intensifying ahead of November's midterm elections. The people caught in the middle say they just want a better life. In the United States, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
Ain't no how Steph Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so who wants this one first, man? they put the people on buses, man.
The work season was over.
Yeah, they put these people on buses, man. I
will go so that we can end on a positive note.
Okay, John.
So I'll go first.
You up first.
You're assuming a lot, so we'll see.
Yeah, you are. You going first assumes that Steph and me going not.
Like we're just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
We know you're the Republican,
and we know, room, and we also know that you the hard ass.
Yeah. So here we go, right?
But we're not sure that you're gonna be the hard ass on this one.
Listen. I'm with all the smoke. Bust them, please. Now, wherever you at and you get a bunch, make sure you fast track citizen them and register them to vote.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, why not? I don't see the problem. You don't want them in your state, bust them out if you can. If you ain't breaking no law, and I don't think none of them are breaking any laws, they paying for them to get on the bus. Send them where they wanted. Don't nobody want to be where they not wanted. And check this out. Last week, right? And except for black people for some reason always want to be someplace where they not wanted.
You're not black, John.
Okay. Until we find the next substitute, until they give us another title, I'm gonna just use that. I'm gonna be lazy and use that one.
That's all there is. Keep
All
going.
right? So that's what we got. That's what we're using. Not the N-word. Not the negative word.
say
We
what you
use the
gotta
other
say.
negative word that means negative. Anyway, about a week ago, they did a survey, and Democratic voting among newly made citizens of Mexican, South American, who just came over and got their citizenship, they're becoming Republicans. You know why? Because they said, we tired of y'all bringing these people in here. They did a survey. They don't want the immigrants who got in and got their citizenship don't want more immigrants.
I agree.
They had enough. So in order to that, we are losing Democratic vote behind that. So yeah, put them on the bus, fast track them to citizenship, and register them to vote. That's what you do. We got space, we got time, we got money. Come on, we got it. We got to go ahead and pass a bill and put $1 trillion into building homes for immigrants. Why not?
I don't know.
We make listen. We make up money whenever we want to anyway. Right? We gave out $3 trillion during COVID, right? And the only time we trying to account for it is the $3 billion that day workers took from the PPP. They're not going after Ruth Chris and the other $1 million companies that got millions of dollars.
Multi-million-dollar
They going after the woman who did hair on the side in her basement, right? And was told by the bank, you know, you could get some of this money because people ain't coming to your house because of COVID. And she followed everything with the bank and did it and got the money. Now they want to hire 80,000 IRS agents to go after this woman, as opposed to finding somebody to show her the proper paperwork to filing her taxes to be forgiven. Right? So all of this political bullshit, miss me with it. Because all of them, every last one of them ain't no good. I don't trust none of them. If it's not some local politics going on where I can go out I can go to the mayor's house and knock on his door in Richmond.
Yes, you can.
That's why I'm here. I know his front door. I see that man walking across the street to go to the mayor's office. Stop him and shake your hand. What's up, Stoney? What's good? Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, bro? This is how he talks. Our mayor.
Necessarily how he talks.
But this is how he talks. Not
brother.
In the media when the cameras are off, and he's talking to a he might try to, everybody wants to front for the ladies. They want to,
Don't. Stoney ain't checking for me.
He not.
I
but
don't have a complexion for that. Look. Don't do it.
He might not be checking for you, but I'm sure he's checked you out because I've seen him do that too. I've been in a couple.
Do that.
I've been in a couple rooms with Stoney, and Stoney.
I'm gonna say this. I have pictures on my Facebook page of myself and Mia Stoney, and he is absolutely respectful. Number one, and number two.
Oh, he's ultimately respectful. But that eye, he
looks scared.
I
look like I'm
cut his eye,
and I'm not my type.
Bro has cut his eye, and I've caught him. But that's all right.
Anyway,
I respect him.
Back to the
I
topic,
admire
John.
him. But back to what I'm saying is, unless it's some local politics where I can put my hands in it, the hell, fuck all of them, because they liars, they thieves, and they mean us no good. And we gotta remember, we gotta start holding these politicians accountable. We're not. There's so many promises that were made, right, that got our vote. Right? And I blame what's my guy from South Carolina? Old gray haired dude. Clyburn.
Oh, yeah. Jim Clyburn.
Mm-hmm. He gave us Joe Biden. Without him, we wouldn't have had. That's the kingmaker right there.
Yeah, he was.
And he did not do anything to hold Biden accountable for doing what he needed to do. Granted, COVID, but nah, like you said, walk and chew gum at the same time. You could battle COVID and deal with some of this discrimination and white supremacy that we have in this country. You said something earlier, how you couldn't even say Jew without, you could if you was a MAGA Republican. You could say Jew and wear a swastika and a torch and be all right. Right? But what's my man? Reverend Wright? He couldn't say nothing.
He was telling the truth.
Wasn't he? So
Jeremiah Wright told the truth.
again, yes, send some to, well, I don't know. We don't qualify because we got that Republican governor. I was gonna say send us a few, but they sending them to DC. That's close enough. Send them wherever. Send them where. I know people want to get some sandwiches delivered in the rain by bike in the morning. So send them all. That's what I say.
I'll say this. I agree with the fast track, register them to vote, get it done. I thought that initially. I was like, you know what? Got to make lemon out of lemonades. I thought it was very interesting, and should not be overlooked that DeSantis and Abbott dropped these people off in front of Kamala Harris's home as the VP. I don't think it just has to do with her being. Yeah, listen, if you think black men hate Kamala, then you better be sure there are plenty of them who don't like Kamala. And I think it wasn't shocking to me that they would pick her as the target, not the president, not the individuals who are making those laws, but her. It doesn't. She's been a whipping post, and she will continue to be. And it's the reason why she won't be able to run. Truthfully, there will never be a her turn, not at all. Now, I have a problem with how we manage the borders, and I'll say that any of us who have been to other countries will tell you cannot just walk up in there. You can't just hang around weeks and days later. As a matter of fact, I went on vacation once, and we were late getting to the airport, and we had a knock at the door, and it was a local official making sure that we were leaving. And this would happen anywhere. We do have the least restrictive laws as it relates to immigrants. We are the country that has the most undocumented individuals. We are a country that we're the least of the people that are citizens. The poorest people will be impacted by this. You can be as magnanimous and loving as you want. I certainly feel like the way they're being treated once they arrive is horrible. But I also have a feeling that you should know what your plan is before you arrive, because there are people here living in poverty that aren't being. I feel like we need to take care of some issues here first. I want to be the person that's like, yes, let everybody in. But no, we have consistently rising rents currently. We have huge population of individuals that, even though they may temporarily fix a water problem, are going to continuously have issues with receiving water. We live in a country where natural resources, naturally occurring resources, have to be paid for. And there are some people that don't have access to it. We live in a country with one of the highest child poverty rates, although we are the wealthiest. And until we're willing to let charity begin at home, my feeling is that we do have to do what other countries do. You cannot, trust me, I have been looking and working on becoming an expat and going to another country for the last 2 years and figuring out where I want to be prior to turning, 50 when that time comes. And the rules and regulations will not allow me to sashay in there. I don't care what the silhouette is looking like that day. I could come as a business owner or anything else. And even Mexico. If you ever go through the have you ever driven through the Mexican border? It's no easy feat to leave the U.S. side. Now, mind you, they know most of us have no reason to want to be over there full time, but there's no easy feat for you to cross over from the United States side of the border to Mexico, and stay for extended periods of time. And they will, if necessary, deport you if there are issues. I'm not saying that other people don't belong here, but what I am saying is we have so many fiscal issues here right now that bleeding heart liberalism cannot apply to immigration. Not right now. That's just how I feel about it. Now, lying to people and then trafficking them on the premise of that lie, I have a problem with it. But we could go right back to the beginning and say, but you came here with no plan. And you can't, and they're not the only ones. And I will say this: the only times I have an issue, the only time that I have a true issue with Black and brown immigration, the only time that I have a problem with immigration is the fact that if you grow up in New York City, there are Russians, there are Polish, there are Ukrainians, there are Estonians, there are huge portions of Eastern European populations that the entire community is full of people who came here illegally. The difference is they came here illegally with white skin, were allowed to blend in. They're not going to be chased down. Even if they do Russian mafia level things, they're just not going to be chased down. Same thing happens with Chinese immigrants. If you look at Chinatown in New York, it has plenty of undocumented individuals. My only problem with immigration when they start to talk about closing the borders is where they focus. And their focus is primarily Haiti. It is Cuba, unless you're wealthy. And then they want to close the borders. Cuban people who live in South Florida, who represent a huge part of the Republican Hispanic voting community, want to consistently shut down the border. But if you Jamaicans, we talked about a lot of that was happening with Trump when he was locking children in cages and everything else, and the focus was on children from Central America. There are plenty of Jamaicans, Haitians, Guyanese, Black children from Black countries that also went through that same situation. So again, I do think we have a need to look at the border and control some of the things that are happening at the border. We have too many people here that are citizens, not citizens who are born here, that are not getting the resources that they need, that they're consistently turning down and turning away. And before we take care of others, just like others make that decision, we should take care of home.
Ain't no how Steppin Marcus here live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. I'll take the final word on this one. I've gotten to a point, honestly, in my life where there's a level of indifference that has taken over my spirit simply because during the years where I was aggressively opposed or for, I never really felt like my feeling was felt by the masses strongly enough for there to be a difference made. And, as a way of being somewhat discouraging, I'm no longer discouraged. I used to be, I'm not anymore, but I have become resigned to the fact that America's going to do what America wants to do. America don't give a fuck about me. Don't give a fuck about John, and they don't give a fuck about Steph. Just don't. That's how America rolls. If you are Black in this country, you're already going to be someone that is looked upon as, what can you do for me? Can you play basketball? You good rapper? You know what I mean? And that's not to say that white folks don't have their challenges. I'm sure they do. I'm not white. I can guess what they are, but I can't tell you what they are. I'm sure someone white can come along and tell me that. But I'm also a student of history in this country, and I know that we got it harder than they got it. We just do. By virtue of us being treated as second-class citizens by virtue of white supremacy. You got the benefit of walking around being white. That's what privilege is all about, and there are those who do not believe that that exists. That's cool. I'm not arguing with you no more. I used to had a vein in my forehead that would be produced by me arguing with you. I'm not doing that no more. I know what I know, and I'm no longer interested in trying to convince you. I'm going to do what I got to do to take care of mine and me. I'm going to work towards empowering the people who have the wherewithal to understand that John knows what the hell he talking about, because he got 54 years of life behind him. I got, Steph, who knows what she's talking about, because as a woman, a black woman in this country, which if you pay attention, you realize her community that she comes from is amongst the most disrespected ever in our country. She's not just a woman, but she's also black, and women we know do not get treated the same as men. That's what Lily Ledbetter was all about. First law that Barack Obama signed, and they gave him shit for doing that, and she's black. I mean, come on. I live with a black woman. I live with two black women, my wife and my daughter, black women. And I got to hear the stories every day when each of them come home. So I know what it is. So what are we going to do? Joe Madison, the Black Eagle, one of my radio mentors, always says, what are you going to do about it? You know what I'm going to do about it? I'm going to empower those around me. I'm going to encourage those around me. I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. I'm going to love unconditionally those around me. People who I don't love, I don't fuck with you. And that's why you over there. This is real talk. That's what peace and love is about. I want peace around me. I want love around me. And those folks who are with it, who get it, going to get all this good love and peace from me. But if you're not about that life, then you can stay the hell over there. How Steppin with Marcus, you're live from New Gen Legacy. I'm just not stressing out about this stuff no more. I'm just not. I'm not. We empower. This is what we do. And those folks who are smart enough to listen to us, because we are part of Talented 10th. If you understand and you know who William Edward Burghardt Du Bois was, and you know about the souls of black folks, then you know what the Talented 10th is. And if you don't, decipher what I just said. Or I'll just say it simply. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote a book called The Souls of Black Folks, where he talked about the Talented 10th. Talented 10th, that's a group of people in your minions who are the ones who are smart enough for you to follow. And if you listen to them, you're going to be all right. If you listen to them, you're going to be all right. And if you don't, you won't. But we know what we're talking about here. And if we don't, clearly we're invested in problem solving. We don't always agree here. John and I rarely agree on certain things. But what we agree on is the problem. The solution can be worked out. We agree on the problem. That's why we got a kinship and a brotherhood that cannot be broken, that we hope to share with you. Every single week when we come in here and we do this. Every single week. So we talk about the N-word. We disagree on the N-word. That's okay. Don't you interpret our discord as an issue. This is iron sharpening iron right here. Because he ain't wrong. He's not wrong. This man is brilliant. And I listen to him. You should too. But I'm smart too. I know some things. And all I want is for my people to be okay. I just want my people to be okay. I want my people to stop catering to bullshit and to critically think with their third eye and understand what it is that we're dealing with in our life and in our country and in our culture. Because there's some things here that are put in place to create discord amongst us. And if we allow it to perpetuate itself, we will continue down a path towards failure. Nobody wants that. I don't want it. John doesn't want it. Steph doesn't want it. and you shouldn't either. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Den Legacy and that radio. It's the time of the show where we shift. We move towards the final stage of the show where we rant, we close, we move towards our missing children, we get our moment in Black history, and we say our final words. Last thing that I will do is read this comment from Terry Arlene Marshall, who says Public Enemy made fear of a black parent way back when, but that particular white fear is real today and was real enough back then to cause them to be blacklisted for their beliefs stated in their music. That's the money shot comment of the night. That's real shit, man. And it ain't just Chuck and Flav and Terminator, you know, and all of the rest of them. It ain't just them. You can look at the God, Rakim, who many of us regard as the greatest hip-hop artist of all time, got blacklisted. Why? Because he was speaking the truth. Just go back and listen to the 1990 song In the Ghetto. Planet Earth was my place to birth, born to be the sole controller of the universe. Besides this part of the map, I convert. Many rhymes that I can adapt. Come on, man. Go back and pick up right there and listen to the rest of the song. Just listen to the rest of the song. I might have butchered a couple of the lyrics, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Many of the greatest rappers of all time have been silenced because they were awakening the minds of the people, the masses. We can't have that. We can't have millions of black people walking around awake and conscious. Can't have that. That's a direct threat to white supremacy and white indifference and culturally conditioned mentality towards not understanding equality for all people. So we can start with hip hop because we are born of the hip hop generation, but it's so much bigger than that. It really is. Cognitive dissonance is so real, and we are culturally conditioned. I'm gonna steal this from the Black Eagle, Joe Madison. We are culturally conditioned to believe that white is right, and a manifestation of that is that we are underestimated, marginalized. It's what it is. We know what it is. We need to do better by teaching each other. Each one teach one. I can do all of the analogies here, but it's time to go home. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J, live from New Den Legacy and that radio. All right, so let me pull out my trusty map here, which will help me through my moments in Black history before I do a missing child. And we are in a very interesting week at this stage of September in 2022, 1881. We'll start there. Tuskegee Institute in Tuskegee, Alabama, holds its first classes with 30 black students and one professor. Want to know what that man's name was? Booker Taliaferro Washington. That's who it was. 2011. I remember this. We were a few weeks into radio at the time. As September 6, 2011 was the first night that Jay Grizzy, Carlton Banks, and yours truly were on the radio. And we spent a lot of time talking about the execution of Troy Davis down in Georgia. Despite recanted witness statements and global campaign for the commutation due to his innocence, Troy Davis was still executed in Georgia. The last one that I'll do, which predated us being on radio, but I remember who I shouted out very, 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 very first here on tonight's show, our brother K-Dub, who was one of the 15,000 people who descended upon Gina, Louisiana, to protest the attempted murder and prosecution of 6 black teens for fighting with white students who hung a noose from a tree on their high school campus. I remember that. I remember talking to Dub when he was there on the grounds in Gina, Louisiana. It's funny, you know, we were in our early mid-30s at the time, and you know, we were well into our activism. K-Dub and I, you know, that's my activist partner right there. When we were young, you know, we would do marches and we would do things of that sort, and I wasn't able to journey with him to Gina, but I remember the excitement and the strength that he had when he went there and he was with our people on the grounds there, looking towards trying to liberate our young black men who had been wrongly accused there in that township. So we ain't new to this, and I'm glad. And shout out to Terry. Terry says she loves our show with a bunch of heart emojis, and giving it back to you, Terry. We love you too. So thank you. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from New Dan Legacy and Radio. All right, let's get these missing children in. Let's get the Con in John's hand, the Con in Steph's hand, and then we're gonna go home and do what it is we do until we meet again. Zion Smith is a black male. He's 15. He's been missing since September 6th. He was born on April 19th, 2007. He's 5'3", 120. He was last seen on September 6th. If you've seen him, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children and website missingkids.org or call the Richmond Police Department at 804-646-6842. We're also in this time and in this day looking for another missing child by the name of Deontay Claiborne. He's also 15-year-old black male. September 14th is his missing day. He's 5'6", 170. Last seen on September 14th wearing black slides, a white tee with a Hollister logo. He got dreads with blonde tips. He uses the nickname Day Day. If you've seen Deontay Claiborne, please contact the Richmond City Police Department at 804-646-5100. So let's recap. If you've seen Zion Smith or if you've seen Deontay Claiborne, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children and their website missingkids.org at 1-800-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J. Here we go. It's time for us to close this out. John, we do the say the nice things for each other thing every single week, man. I'm just, I won't belabor it. We all know how much we love one another as a family here on the show. I'll just say thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your fierceness and your point and your never-ending quest to empower your people who I happen to share. So I say our people, you are necessary, and I appreciate you. Thank you, John. Time for you to close us out. You have the Con.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. I'm gonna try to make it a quick one if I can. I've given a lot of thought to politics in this country over my years since I was 17. Coming up, registering to vote at 18, and I believe the solution for us as a nation, as a country, and this is going to freak people out. We're going to start first in my home state, New York, right? New York City needs to be its own state. Generates too much money and has too many people not to be a state, right? Upstate New York should be Greater Empire State. New York City needs to be its own state, full stop. DC needs to be a state, including the areas, portions of Virginia and Maryland that make up that area, what they call the DMV. But guess what? We don't need to stop there. We have at our borders, northern and southern, two countries who, without us, probably would have been overthrown. North America needs to be a nation. Full stop. Right? As a nation, Canada, United States of America, and Mexico could actually do some good in the world if it decided to do good. Oh, and the Caribbean too. No reason for the Caribbean not to be a state or states. Come on, Jamaica, for real? For real? I know they feel proud about their own country and island nation, but come on, for real? Hispaniola, for real? Puerto Rico, for real? All that enclave and nonsense. It's all needs to be states. They need senators. They need to vote because we take care of them. We protect them, right? And they need to be able to have their votes count with everybody else's, and we should be able to govern in that way, right? As a nation, as a strong, powerful nation on earth. That's just something from me. Some people might think I'm crazy, but trust and believe. I've thought it out, right? And with that kind of power, if we really wanted to do good as an institution, as a nation, we could do the most good in that way. And of course, hold ourselves accountable for who we are supposed to be. Right? Checks and balances, separation of church and state, each vote counting, representatives, right? Have elected officials with term limits, including Supreme Court justices. You should not be able to serve on the Senate indefinitely. The Constitution needs to be revisited every. There was actually in the Constitution said that we will revisit this. I think it's either 40 or 70 years. We're going to revisit this because it needs not to be antiquated. What applied in 1776 and before that, because it belonged to the Iroquois Nation, doesn't apply in 2022. It needs to be revisited and revised. So with that kind of ideology and hopefulness, we could be a very powerful force for good. I don't think it's going to happen. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I just wanted to get that out. As a people who have been marginalized, subjugated, murdered, raped, and disenfranchised forever, in modern history anyway, we have to remember that we ruled the world longer than we have been its downtrodden, right? And things come around. It's a big wheel. Things come around. But what we have to understand is what got us in this position, right, is the same thing that makes us exceptional. What allows us to crawl out of slavery. What allows us to sit down at the chessboard, right? Begin the game second because we're black. Black moves second. But have no queen and half of our other fighting pieces and pawns taken off the board, with the full expectation of us to win. And if we don't win, and when we don't win, it says, well, those people, they don't have the brain power to play this game. Right? So it's the same ability that we have to win that game against those odds. To start a race 400 years late and still win by a large margin. It's the ability of being able to affect the world like we did with hip hop culture. Right? The whole world is now a part of hip hop culture, and it is because of our survival instincts. But those same characteristics is what allow us to be conquered, because you know what we will always do? Forgive. You know what we will always do? Reach out a hand to help. You know what we always do? Pray for somebody that just killed us. And you know what we won't do? We won't get a white man back his God. Right? And we won't realize that just because every white person you ever met isn't out to get you, doesn't mean that most of them ain't out to get you. The exception proves the rule, right? And you got to stop trying to find acceptance. You got to stop trying to find this silver lining. This I keep going back to this thing that Muhammad Ali said. We got 10,000 snakes chasing us into a house, and I'm in and I want to close the door, and you're telling me no, don't close the door. I'm like, but the 10,000 snakes is no, but 1,000 of them are non-venomous, and they actually like people. I do not have the luxury of selecting those 1,000. I don't have that luxury. I cannot discriminate in a positive way. I have to close the door to ensure that I survive. And as a people, we need to learn to close that damn door. These people are not trying to help us. Even those who are not trying to hurt us ain't trying to help us, because they trying to get it like we trying to get it too. They just as jacked up, if not more jacked up than us, because they don't have survival instincts. Because their survival instincts have been taken from them because they've been privileged. And they've been told that no matter what happens, they're always going to be better than us because we're less than them because of our pigmentation. So they don't even know how to adapt. So stop looking for them to accept, to help, or even to acknowledge. Do your thing. Like Marcus said, one thing that he and I agree on wholeheartedly 100%, it's your house that you have to put in order. It's your children who you have to protect. It's your wife who you have to admire and raise to the level that she deserves to be at. Right? Take care of that. And in doing so, you will do everything else automatically. That's how you change the world. That's how the N-word stops getting used. That's how it happens. That's how Black people begin to help each other out. Because guess what? They helping themselves out. Right? This is how white police stop shooting unarmed Black people. Because you got your house in order and you got life insurance. Right? And you have respectability in your own home. So when they realize that there will be consequences and repercussions for their actions, because others other than us will have an invested interest in your survival, right? Because nobody wants to pay out that $2 million policy. And if I go in and take it from that police retirement fund because that guy shot me unarmed, right? That's how it stops. And because I went out and voted and my local elected officials look like my area, and then my mayor, and then my police chief, maybe then the marching orders in the morning aren't go to the Black neighborhoods and find the crime and bust some heads up and make sure you get home. Maybe the marching orders is go out and let your physical presence be a deterrent for those who would commit crime. Be visible as police officers. Greet everyone with respect. Treat everyone with respect. And appreciate them the way you want to be appreciated. Right? Maybe that could happen. I don't necessarily believe it could happen. I don't think I'm going to live to see it, but I'm trying to give you guys the blueprint. Take care of your own business and it will occur eventually. Eventually. I'm going to tell you how serious I am about this. I gave you some thought. In retirement, as a retired person, I have a financial consulting company, and it's a boutique company. I'm very selective about people who I work with for different reasons. And I charge for my services. from now until whenever, I'm not charging. If you have some issues with your finances and getting them in order and trying to figure out, why you a month behind on everything and why this and why that and all this kind of stuff, and you just want some information, you just want some help, you want to understand your credit, you want to understand what compound interest is, you want to have an understanding of money in what it really is and how it works, give me a call. My number's always available. I'm always here. No charge. No charge, because I need for people to get their things together, right? A chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and I'm tired of being weak. So let's go, people. That's my rant.
Ain't no half stepping Marcus J live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. John, thank you, John. Appreciate you, bro. Steph, it's your turn, man. Always enjoy being around you, man. You had a birthday recently, and so I would like to publicly and personally say to you, blessed earth strong. Happy birthday. I hope that you have as many as you've had, twice as many more. I hope they are all prosperous and helpful to your peace and to your love. I hope that you are valued. I hope that you smile. I hope that you giggle. And I hope that you have all of the joy that you absolutely deserve. It's a birthday and it's a personal holiday, and we should all be valued on that day. And so I hope that every single day for the rest of the year until your next one is better than each day before it. So thank you for being my sister. It's time for you to close with your rant and your closing. My sister, you have the con.
I ain't say nothing because I don't talk about women's birthdays unless they talk about it
You
first.
can talk about mine. I
Well,
give some my love
happy,
language.
joyous solar return.
So as long as you don't talk about the number, what's the problem? Man?
Nah, yeah.
They like their birthdays
Both
more
of
than
you-
they like us.
Yeah, that's it. That's if you buying them
The
shit
hell?
and taking them places.
Well, I mean, the door's still open to that. It's still September, John.
That part. But before you do your quote, let me read this comment, because this comment is super awesome.
Sure.
And I think you'll appreciate me pausing you.
I love
once
when the
I read
listeners
it.
engage.
Terry Arlene Marshall says, I wouldn't have known this until Terry told us. By the way, awesome kings and queen, I write in all caps because they are easier to see for this 72 years of age elder queen. I would never yell at you. Oh my goodness.
That's your sister, just so you know.
My sister, I appreciate you, man. That is
Thanks for the explanation.
Oh my goodness. That is awesome. And we love you. We
72.
love you. We love you. And the wisdom that as you have participated in the show tonight has been palpable. We can feel it. And we appreciate you for rocking with us. So thank you for being a part of that and sharing that jewel with us. You, my sister, are a jewel. So thank you for being a part of the night show.
That was sweet. That
I
was
try.
sweet.
I do the best I can.
I want to say thank you to both of you brothers. Both of you sent me very lovely messages and acknowledged my day on Saturday. So thank you very much. And thank you for, the year since my last birthday that we've spent together, and in which I've learned from you both and agreed and disagreed in a good natured way. And I appreciate, the education that both of you put out. And John, I think it's dope that you're willing to offer your services. I hope people take advantage of it. You have It's not easy to retire in your 50s, not in these United States of America. That's why they keep raising the age. They don't intend for you to. So the fact that you have been able to is a lesson, an example, and I will likely be taking you up on some of that, because you can never learn too much. I never say that finance is my strong suit. There's a difference. When sales is your strong suit, I know how to take money from people and get them to give you money. But that education and understanding of finances is sorely lacking in our communities, even when we have things. There's often an assumption that things are the equivalent of being financially savvy. So I truly hope that anybody listening and anyone who sees this in a replay will take advantage of what John is saying. So, you know how they say time is a construct? At which, if you want to get deep, it is. It is just a marking of the passing and changing of events and days, and it's a construct. But what isn't a construct is that you should experience change as the days go by. You should experience growth and things like that. And so I had pulled some articles because I was thinking about what I would like to see change in my own personal life. And, I was thinking about my retirement in the future, hopefully not too far down the road. I was thinking about doing the things that I love and want to do, and spending the time with people that I want to spend it with, and who make me aware that they want to spend it with me. And Marcus and I were having a very brief conversation before we went live, and we were talking about communication. And I came across a letter, and it was a letter written by Malcolm X to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad about Betty Shabazz. And in this letter, Miss Betty writes to Malcolm, and he communicates this to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Be respectful of that, because I'm sure we have listeners that are NOI. He was very clear that Miss Betty had communicated to him that she was not satisfied physically, that she was not experiencing what she needed to experience. He even mentions how it broke his heart, and that he said she was more invested in that area of their life than he was. He wasn't sure he could provide her with what she needed, and truly felt brokenhearted about that communication. And while it could be very salacious to be like, oh my goodness, it's not unusual. It's not unusual for people to be dissatisfied in the relationships they've committed to. And it's not always physical. Shout out, and again, I'm doing a lot of reading. Shout out to James Harris. Shout out to that brother. I know he's not, his service is specifically as it should be, and as I support it, it should be. It is focused on the brotherhood, and if we can clone him and have 10 to 15 of them, you know how I feel about therapy and taking care of yourself. And I just want to say shout out to him, because his series over the last week or so, maybe longer, has been about sexual health and the engagement of your sexual health, and men understanding what that means, and testosterone and things like that. And I love that his messaging is meant for the fellas in order to enhance their lives and the lives of those that they are engaging with. And then I came across that letter, and then I dug a little bit deeper into my own life, and I thought to myself, how wonderful it would be if time afforded you the privilege of open communication and open dialogue. And I realized that that's almost impossible to have in a relationship that is not fully baked, as I like to say. It's impossible to have the most honest dialogue with your friends or your lover if the relationship is not in a healthy space, because you're going to spend time moving the ball in the opposite direction. I want to say this, but I don't want to hurt their feelings. I'm not satisfied, but I don't want to hurt their feelings. I'm not, and I started thinking about all of the areas and why it's important that seeing this elder sister way back in a time where people assume women were quiet and silent about their needs, and most probably were. But shout out to Sister Betty for being able to speak her truth, something that many of us, hand raised, I could get an Oscar faking it. Get an Oscar faking it instead of just being truthful about it, and not just faking it in the way that makes us laugh, but faking our way through the relationships that are supposed to edify us and keeping people in our space without expecting edification, without expecting to be uplifted, without expecting to be developed and grown. And because time marks the passing of each day and should be able to demonstrate change, I think it's important for those of us in the Black community, particularly, to acknowledge that time for us is often more limited. We are typically more unhealthy than other communities. We are underserved as it relates to food and health and medical health, mental health. We're often underserved in our interpersonal relationships. We're not having the dialogue that we need to. I'm fortunate. I can sometimes talk to you fellas and tell you what I'm hearing, feeling, thinking, seeing, experiencing. And I can trust that you fellas will give me the truth that I need to hear. Most of us are not doing that. So when we think about the significant failure, and it isn't across the board, Black love exists. We see it all the time. Don't let them folks out there tell you it doesn't exist. It exists, but it exists under duress often. It exists in a space and a time in this world in which we come home agitated and aggravated. We are frustrated by the economics of this world. We're struggling through the willingness to communicate. We are beaten down and told that a Black woman that's strong doesn't cry, and a Black man that is strong isn't a punk. He's not crying. He's not showing these emotions. And it is then removing our ability to connect with one another, which means that it becomes, a lot of church folk like to talk about a generational curse without addressing the real things that are holding us back in our community. We don't want to believe in witches, because God forbid. We don't believe in ancestral medicine and the things that came from Africa, but we love to talk about a curse, and then we don't want to address it. Often when we say a generational curse, it's like Black folk talking about sugar and diabetes. It's not a curse. It is a condition. Someone in your family has type 1, that's a different story. Type 2 is something that we often bring upon ourselves. And it comes from a legacy of what we inhale and ingest, how we exercise, and what we do. It's not a generational curse. It's not a legacy. You don't have to have it just because dad had it. Type 2 is not transferable. Doesn't mean it's in the genes. What's in the genes is poor behaviors. What's in the community is poor behaviors. And then those of us who come across these afflictions that come from poor behaviors either work to adjust and change, or we fall back and let it take its course. And that's where I see us in our method of communication. We are afraid to admit what we are not doing right because we don't want to feel like everything is all wrong. It is not. It is okay to speak to your lovers or your friends and tell them what you need. That is something that I am attaching myself to for this, what I call the perfect 10, 46, right? This perfect 10 of my life is an opportunity for me to adjust my expectations, to speak clearly about my needs, to address what's not happening, to remove anyone that doesn't want to commit to those things happening, to not wait around in need when there's something I can go and find elsewhere. And again, this is everything. This for all of you listening, this is your work. This is your love life. This is your friendships. This is the things you do in your spare time. I talked about this on the Hustlers Hive on Friday about doing the things that serve you well. And I am sad for my people because I've been around the other folk and heard them speak so freely about living life the way they want to, down to the point of where they are not making excuses for the dastardly things they are doing. And we are backing up from living the life we deserve and want to live in order to preserve feelings and to preserve hearts and to preserve relationships that may not be healthy or good for us. So what I would challenge as I'm embarking on the perfect 10 and trying to seek and working to seek the things that serve me well, I would challenge you to look at your circle and ask yourself, are the people here who are loving me the way I love them? And that doesn't mean in the love language sense, but are they giving you the energy you give them? It is difficult to be happy when you are surrounded by individuals who don't return the energy that you return in the positive sense. It will be difficult to be happy. Be Miss Betty, write the letter. Make it clear to your girlfriends, to your boyfriends, to your friends that you're investing in them because you have a love for them and you want to be connected. But also make it clear of when you're not feeling connected and you're not getting what you need. It is important for us to now say that we are worthy, that we have value. A lot of times we say it in a very surface way. We say it very superficially, and then we don't move on it because we're afraid of the results of moving on it. We don't want to hurt people. So we remain hurt. We don't want someone to feel that we don't love them. So we live in a feeling of being unloved. We don't want someone else to think that they're underperforming. So we pretend to be satisfied with whatever it is. And we deserve better. We deserve better in every phase of our lives. So recognize that the way you experience time should really be relative to change. If you're doing the same thing every day and you're having the same argument and you're having the same fight, you are not honoring time and you're not honoring yourself. And that's my rant.
Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you, Steph, for that. I mean, it's one of those nights where you and I, and it's not very rare. It's often, but it's one of those nights where you and I are sharing energy. Because tonight my rant is about peace and love. And if you know me, you know that is a common refrain with me, is how I greet those closest to me. The people who I sort of know, I just give them peace. But if I love you, I say peace and love. And that's just how I move. It's one of the things that I'm struggling with because I am trying to be intentional about being positive when we live in a world where we don't feel so positive. We live in a world where those we love don't love us the way we love them. We live in a world where we have to say things like same energy. Why I gotta say same energy? I fucks with you. I show you I fucks with you. Why I gotta say same energy? You see what the fuck I'm doing. Why the fuck you can't do the shit too? There was a time on this show where I didn't speak quite as freely and as bluntly and as crassly. And those folks who happen to be listening now who harken back to them days, those days are over. no longer interested in being politically correct so that I can curb your feelings, so that you don't hear me say bad words. 48 years old. People around me are used to people saying fuck around them. And if you not, you ain't in a circle where you need to be listening to this show anyway. That's just real talk. So let's go back to where I started. Peace and love. Peace. Peace. I want to be able to move in my life in a way where the normal grievances that we have with life are minimal, because I got a peace of mind in my spirit knowing that I'm pure in how I move. I'm pure in how I communicate with you, and I'm pure in how I feel about how you communicate with me. It ain't got nothing to do with what you do. It's got everything to do with how I feel about it and how I move. And I'm using me because I'm talking about me. But this applies to everybody. You, viewer and listener, should have peace upon your spirit and your soul in a way that you are not moved by how other people around you communicate with you. Because if you are governed by that, there is no peace there. There just simply is no peace there. And then there's the love part. Been doing this show in some variation for over 11 years. And so when I started this, I was 37 years old. And for our more, shall we say, respectfully seasoned and mature listeners, you understand what I mean when we talk about the difference between 37 and 48. Hey, for younger folks, 27 and 38. For even younger folks, 16 and 27. You got an 11-year difference. You going through something in that time frame where you're experiencing the superfluities of life that aren't always superfluity. Sometimes they might just be a little bit major than the small shit you deal with. You got to find some sort of grace as you move your way through it, because life is going to challenge you and you ain't got no way around that. You just got to live through it, got to manage through it. And through all of that, you need to find some way to have peace and to have love. Because if you don't, you're going to be angry all the time. I did that. I did angry all the time. I don't want to do that no more. And for those that are younger than me, listen and feel and understand what I'm telling you. That's a hard way to be. It's a hard way to live. And ain't no joy in it. This world is hard. People are hard. Circumstances are hard. But you can choose to not absorb it that way. And you can choose to focus on the positive. Because no matter how hard it is for you in your life, maybe your bills don't get paid. Maybe your baby daddy is acting a damn fool. Maybe your baby mama won't let you see the kids. Maybe your kid is crazy. Maybe your kid is locked up. Maybe your baby daddy is locked up. Maybe your baby mama is locked up. You're not getting along with your mom. Your dad don't speak to you. Your brother stole your girl. Your girl stole your money. You failed a class at school. Work just fired you. People around you just stupid. All of the things that we deal with. You got COVID. You don't know how you're going to be tomorrow because people around you who had COVID had very, very serious struggles. Hey, man, life is hard, man. Ain't nobody going to sit here and act like it's not. And ain't nobody going to kiss your ass around it being hard. But what we can do is love and support one another and have peace in it. We can do that. That's a choice. We can choose to be positive. We can choose to be scared to get them test results. It's a choice. We can choose to always find the negative in anything. You can choose to do that. Amen. You do what you want to do with your life. Me, I'm going to try to have some peace. It ain't no peace in negativity. It's just not. Ain't no peace in always looking at how bad things are. Street is fucked up, man. It is. I know. Ain't nobody minimizing your stuff. We know. It's hard. It ain't easy for Marcus J. May seem like it because I'm fly. I am. You laughing, Steph? I'm fly. It may seem like it's hard. It may seem like it's easy. It's not easy. If I can make my way through this, you can make your way through this. If I can choose to greet you with love when I see you and blow a kiss to you because I want you to be better than you was the few seconds before you saw me, then you can carry that kind of energy too. It feels better than being mired in negativity. It just does. It just does. Being mired in negativity. Just figure out how you feel when you're in that. Every day, you worrying about all the shit that's going wrong. Every day, you worrying about everybody that's hating on you. Every day, you worrying about the stuff that hurts. Every day. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We got a choice to make here in this life. We only get one of them. Because when we die, that's it. Ain't overcome. You ain't getting no do-overs. I'm not a Christian. And I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not a Muslim. So all of the afterlife stuff that they believe in about coming back, or the 3 days that Jesus got and he came back and he's grinning at y'all after the Easter and all that kind of stuff, and then the afterlife, and you get to come back as a bird. Now you get to fly when your ass was poor when you was a human, and all the shit that the people be believing and all that. Ain't nobody ever came back and told us that shit's real. Not one person. So all we got to go by is what we got to go by. And all your loved ones, when they died, unless you seen them in a dream, you ain't never going to see them again. That's going to be you one day. When you go, ain't nobody going to never see you again. So while you here, quit walking around in that negativity. Quit walking around afraid of tomorrow and worrying about what you might find out then. Live that shit now. Right now. Live it to the fullest. Because you only live once. James Bond said you'll only live twice. You don't live twice. You live once. And you have the opportunity to create the world that you want to live in. My brother K-Dub been saying that to us since we was kids. I'm sure he got it from somewhere. I got it from him. So I'm shouting him out. Create the world that you want to live in. Quit crying in your beer. Nobody wants to hear it. You don't want to hear it. Do better. Do better. Do better. Smurf. Marcus's unrelated rant. It's got nothing to do with what we're here talking about tonight. That is the end of the show. I want to remind everybody that independence is the key to building your legacy. I also want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares in the abundance of water. The fool is thirsty. I spent most of that rant talking about that damn fool. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who you hear singing in the background. Also want to remind you that authenticity has no competition. Remember that. Be yourself. You are far better than you think you are. And you got far more potential than you give yourself credit for. I'm celebrating 11 years rocking this mic. Ain't no rookie at this. Know what the hell I'm talking about. At least about that part. I learned some things in the course of my 48 years. And I hope that my journey can be a journey for you too. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from New Den of Legacy Internet Radio. And while we're here, let me get a couple of really, really quick shout outs. Yeah, Desiree is saying, go cousin, so proud of you. Got a lot of love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep up the great works, Desiree says. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Desiree. We love you. And my favorite person, Sue, is saying, good show, y'all. Night to you as well. Ain't no hashtag with Marcus J. Live from New Den Legacy and that radio. We'll be back next month in October 2022. We love y'all. Finish talking. I'm rambling towards the end. Now I'm done with it. Holla at your family. 2 fingers, index and middle. Peace.
Oh yeah. I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready. Let's go. Ain't no half stepping. That's the name of the show. Yeah. Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah. Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about? Call it. We're hearing you. Cover all topics. Touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street was the Earl on the beat. We superb in the D legacy online. 7 to 9:30. Please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin', that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about? Call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. Yeah. The word on the street was the Earl on the beat. We superb in the D legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. Yeah. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.